One.
All right, you're on. Good evening, all. Welcome to the Town Board Agenda Meeting for August 28, 2023. Please rise, and Councilman Niles will lead us in the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman McMahon. Here. Councilman Hanlon.
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski. Councilman Niles.
Here.
Supervisor Molino.
Here. All right, we're going to start the meeting off. I'm going to let Councilman Niles introduce Bob and Nick and explain what we're going to be seeing for the next half hour or so.
Okay, I don't want to steal too much of their thunder, but Bob and Nick, Bob Lombard and Nick Rowell work for Warren County Soil Water Conservation District. And they helped us out considerably by filming, underwater filming Lake Luzerne on 3 days' notice. The day before we installed Priscilla. They also filmed it 30 days after. And they also filmed it a couple of weeks ago, which was 60 days after. So they are coming here tonight to show us some of those videos and explain them a little bit. So in advance, I want to say thanks, and Bob and or Nick, it's all yours.
You want to come sit here so that you can talk through the mic and it gets out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Pull that mic right around, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you for having us here tonight.
No, thank you.
All right, so I'll just share my screen. Should be able to. All right. So like Jim said, we filmed the day before Priscilla application, so that was May 30th. And then we filmed 30 days after that, June 30th, and then July 26th. And while Bob and I were down there, I did a lot of the filming and Bob did a lot of the plant data collection. So tallied all the plants that were down there. And so I put together just a few of the videos to kind of show the changes in the plant community throughout the 60-day mark, as well as showing the milfoil growth, urate and water milfoil growth prior to the application. It's pretty impressive. Let's see here. So this shows the plant community really early on when things first start growing. A little glitchy on the screen. This is in that bay on the east shore, right? The south.
It must be over by Mike's.
And so you can see how plants are just starting to come up.
The other one, the logo.
You can see a few Eurasian water milfoil plants in there, and then some of the native milfoil plants as well. And this is really to give perspective when I show some of the swim overs we did where you're getting larger beds of Eurasian water milfoil growing. And again, this is all the film from May 30th. So here you're seeing, again, May 30th, and these are the larger beds in that bay of Eurasian water milfoil growth. And you can see how much farther along Eurasian water milfoil is compared to the other natives growing in the lake. I mean, you're looking at what, 6-8 foot tall plants.
That was May 30th, you said.
Yeah, May 30th.
Wow.
While all the rest of the natives are just starting growth. So you can see how it can get a big head start and really crowd out a lot of those native plants. And it was fairly spread out. I mean, although this was a pretty dense population of Eurasian water milfoil, there were still a lot of natives growing, native plants growing throughout this Eurasian water milfoil bed. But it definitely gets a head start on all the other plants.
It's crazy. Oh, obvious it is.
Those are crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But when did the ice go out?
3 weeks before.
So that last video was, a more dense bed with older growth of Eurasian water milfoil. But this is typically what we'd see throughout the lake. These, let's see, smaller single stem Eurasian water milfoil plants, as you can see in the center of that video. Right here, you see a lot of these single stem milfoil plants just starting to get going. On the right. And anywhere there's debris in the water, like down trees, those milfoil fragments get caught there and really start growing. So you get a lot of those little single stem plants growing everywhere. You want to explain the Janelle?
Yeah, this, as soon as it's back up. Let's stop it here. There's 2 or 3 species here. The ones we really want to point out, yeah, good grass-like plants that he's circling there. That's actually a milfoil. That's a native milfoil. It's the leafless northern milfoil. It is a native, and we really wanted to film a lot of this stuff because the particular Persilicore is toxic to all milfoils. So we wanted to document the condition that this particular species was in prior to treatment. Persilicore works, it's actually a mimic of a natural growth hormone. And basically what it does is it causes uncontrolled cell growth in the plant, and that's what actually kills it. And you'll see that later in the post-treatment pictures. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get as many pictures we could of the native milfoils that are found in the lake, as well as the Eurasian water milfoil. And I realize this really doesn't look like much to most people, but it's fascinating to us. And because one of the major concerns is the native plants are going to be affected by the treatment, we want to document conditions both prior to and post usage of the herbicide. Now, there are other native plants that are also affected by the usage of Persilicore, and those were plants that we also wanted to document both before and after treatment.
And then what you're seeing in this video is a native Potamogeton plant, but also at a further along growth stage. So we wanted to document some of these other plants that were also growing fairly well at this time of year, again, May 30th.
What's the depth?
This
one's probably 6 to 8 feet. deep, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, probably around 6 to 8 feet deep.
The prior pictures, we were in 2 to 4. The Tenellum, what Nick likes to call the asparagus milfoil. Because when you're down there, it's about what it looks like. It looks like almost like an asparagus. That generally tends to grow in less than 10 feet of water.
So yeah, here we're probably in like 6 to 8 feet of water. And some of those natives are really starting to grow, but again, the milfoil and a few other natives are much farther along at this point. Then we can go to 30 days post treatment. Oh yeah, this one's for you, Mike. We found this in the lake. Found what was eating all the fish.
Nice.
That was
So,
before treatment.
yeah. We didn't see him again.
Before we go on, can you throw up the profiles?
Yeah.
Okay,
Never really
so
got to-
prior to filming, we do a profile of the lake. We go to the deeper spots and we go from top to bottom.
I am going to.
Can't find the switch. Got a couple.
Whoops.
more.
Okay,
Keep it kind of close.
it's on. Okay.
Thanks,
Uh,
Bob.
Prior to our filming and plant surveys, we do a profile of the lake. And we basically take readings from the surface to within a meter of the bottom. And this is the first profile that we did, and one of the things we saw, you'll see, obviously, we're working in Celsius here. Surface temperature was somewhere around 70 degrees. I should have this here. Unfortunately, I can't read close up and see far away at the same time.
Yeah, we should.
So we were quite excited to get there that day and see that the surface temperature was fairly high. But that excitement didn't last very long. Basically, we were losing about a degree a meter until we got to the 3 meter mark, where we dropped almost 7 degrees, over 7 degrees. Incredibly cold. That is a very hard thermocline. And why that is pertinent is in the summer up here, the lake stratifies thermally. The top layer will become almost a uniform temperature because it's constantly circulating. And as we go down, we come to what you fishermen will know is called the thermocline. And that's where the temperature drops more than a degree a meter from that point. And that water does not get involved with the circulation. All the water above it is circulated by wind and wave action. The water below it does not get circulated at all. So over the summer, the water on top is constantly regenerated. The water below, we start losing oxygen and stuff. And that's probably why you can't keep trout, not that Perseverus fish that we saw earlier. We can see oxygen in water is tied directly to water temperature, just like a warm soda. You open it up, all the carbon dioxide comes out. Same thing in the soda is cold, it stays in longer. For that reason, colder liquids hold gases better. So the colder the water, the more oxygen that can hold. And as we go down, if you can lift that up a little bit. You can see how oxygen, as we get close to the bottom, certainly peels off, and let's move on to the next time we go. So we come back June, month later. We see that top layer is pretty much uniformed in temperature. And then we have a really hard thermocline. We lose almost 3 degrees there and another 5 degrees. So inside of 2 meters, we've dropped 10 degrees or actually 20 degrees in Fahrenheit measurements. That is a hard thermocline. And you don't get a lot of movement between the layers due to that. So our original concern was, would this also prevent Percelicore from moving through that thermocline? So, you know, one of the things we wanted to see was whether it more than 10 feet deep, did we see the Percelicore work or not? Just because there isn't a lot of movement between those layers. And what we saw down deep, and we can go to June now.
Yep. So this is June 30th. 30 days after application. And this is below that thermocline Bob was talking about. And both Eurasian water milfoil was dead or dying down there, as well as
As the natives.
That's what the,
native
Native
milfoil.
that's what
only.
the fuzzy stuff is, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And-
Well, the fuzzy stuff is really probably
Algae covered.
filamentous algae covering the plants. But you see the plants are basically laying down instead of being upright in the water column. And what you can see, because Percelicore is a mimic of a growth hormone, you'll notice that the plants have shown a tremendous amount of growth in the stem. You see where it's white. When that plant's alive, that stem is nowhere near that thick. So that is probably indicative of massive cell growth in the stem, which is killing the plant.
And so on June 30th, throughout our survey, below that thermocline, we found a couple plants that couple Eurasian water milfoil plants that we would say were half alive. And we went back to those spots at that 60-day mark to double check those sites and those plants. And at that point, they were fully dead. But the majority of the milfoil plants we saw, this is Eurasian water milfoil right here. You could see it's pretty much completely dead. It's floating because it's got some algae on it. And then this is a native plant, often misidentified as milfoil. But you can see these plants are all nice, healthy and green, which is what they should look like. And this is milfoil after the treatment.
That's a good shot.
So that's evidence that the natives are already recovering or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those natives aren't affected by this.
unaffected. Yeah.
Oh, they're not
particular
affected.
Not affected at all.
Yeah.
Nope. Again, you can see the natives looking nice, growing really well in the end of June. And Eurasian water milfoil is all have been knocked back and is starting to die and decompose. So, like I said, below that thermocline, we did find some milfoils just hanging on to life at this point. But when we went back at that 60-day mark, they were completely deteriorated. We didn't find a single living plant at that point.
Yeah,
Milfoil. plant.
milfoil plant. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that is a sad looking specimen there.
So do you think, guys, that we did get a little mixing action, or do you think it was?
Well, it
solid?
certainly appears that the chemical treatment will pass through the thermocline. That was one of our major concerns when we saw how stout the thermocline was.
Yeah.
Would there be enough of it getting through that to affect plants found more than 10 feet down?
I invited Glenn to come tonight, but he couldn't make it. He's away. Glenn's the Solitude.
Did the application.
The applicator with Solitude.
So again, this is curly leaf pondweed. It's another invasive, but obviously wasn't harmed by the application because it's not meant for that type of plant. So now we can go to 60 days. So 60 days was on July 26th. So this was also a very sunny day. I have to use a magenta filter on the camera to correct color. But it didn't work out on this day due to conditions, sunlight for some reason. So the photos are going to look slightly off color. No pun intended. But you can see we went back to check that site where we found a couple half living Eurasian water milfoil plants. They were all knocked back. And then we had some reports of potentially at the inlet of the lake where it was suspected that maybe there was some living Eurasian water milfoil plants over there. We didn't find any living Eurasian water milfoil plants over there, but we do think that maybe this plant is called Utricularia, and the way it was growing really healthy in Lake Luzerne, it kind of had a milfoil look to it, which is really surprising because you don't see it, that green and nicely growing very often. So we think that maybe some of those sightings might have been this plant.
Fish with the filter on his camera. It looks like we're down at the Mohawk River.
It does.
Yeah,
But we are, and of course, it didn't look anything like this. This is a filter doing this.
right.
Um,
I was still learning the new camera this year. And then in this kind of mass, you can see those Eurasian water milfoil plants are knocked back. As well as some of the native milfoils.
those are dead and decaying plants.
Yep.
Unreal.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, we put this in here. Yeah, we actually filmed this in Lake Sunnyside last week. But we thought it would be interesting to show here because Lake Luzerne does. have-
yeah, in 1993, I was with RPI and we were doing the Lake Luzerne plant survey at that time, and that is the first time I'd ever seen freshwater jellyfish.
About the size of a quarter.
And it was here in Lake Luzerne is the first time I saw them. So when we happened to see these last week, I said, well, we'll have to take a picture and show it. This is Crespitacusta sourby. That's the Latin name for it. It is native to China. But they are found everywhere just about now in the United States. And like I said, the first place I'd ever seen one was here at Lake Luzerne back in the 90s. I thought I'd found something really special.
And you saw that just recently?
This was in Lake Sunnyside.
Yeah, this one we filmed in Sunnyside Friday.
For those that
Last
don't know, Lake Sunnyside's in Queensbury.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but we wanted to show you that.
If you ever
because-
came across
Because
them.
you certainly have them
Yeah,
in Lake Luzerne.
Wow.
And it's a life stage that only lasts a short period of their life. They spend most of it as a polyp, many years as a polyp, and then when conditions are right, they'll turn into the Medusa stage. It's kind of a reproductive stage.
so if you don't see them for a year or two, that doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're gone. They'll show up again when the conditions are right.
Hmm.
Can we go back to the probably 2067? Is that the
Which date? June?
no, in July, the cloud.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that we noticed while we were diving is at the top of the thermocline, it was almost like a smoke layer. And it's really unfortunate with the filter here. If it wasn't in the filter, it would look like a gray, blue, milky layer right above the thermocline. And we have no idea what it is. I've been diving for over 40 years now, probably close to 50 years. And I've never seen anything quite like it. Not sure what it was. It was right after the wildfire hazes that we had in July. We aren't quite sure what it was. Can we get that July reading up?
No.
It was kind of interesting. When we did our profile, you'll see at 3 meters, we have the thermocline, so it's almost 25 degrees at the surface and the top 6 feet, and then about 9 feet, 9.5 feet. We have the thermocline. And what we see is the O2 levels are running at 8, and then right in that smoky layer, oxygen levels cut in half or close to half. And right below it, it went back to what we would expect to see. Now, that would suggest there was some sort of a biological function going on there that uses oxygen up. I've got some calls into colleagues to try to get an explanation for it, because I don't have one. It would suggest probably bacterial action, maybe something that will use up oxygen, not produce it. Our original thought was maybe it's a phytoplankton layer, but if it was phytoplankton, it'd be producing oxygen and not using oxygen. We did not. We did not. And one of the reasons we didn't is because we really don't have the ability to test it. RPI's lab is not functioning for outside samples anymore, and we could have taken samples, but without having like a reservation with Adirondack or some of the others. We have no clue what we should be using for preservative or anything, so.
This date on the screen right now is 1 point, right?
Yeah, yep. This is occurring in the center of the lake. We were taking that sample, and one of the reasons you don't hold trout is you can see, even though your temperatures are good, your DO levels drop off pretty quick, fairly shallow. 8.7 at 6 meters. That's right on the edge for trout. The 9 would be okay. But after that, down in the colder water, the oxygen levels just aren't going to hold trout very well. Browns, maybe rainbows would do okay, but native brookies aren't going to work there.
Does the pH normally decrease like that?
Yeah, the pH decrease, I'm guessing is more a function of CO2 levels. Because we've taken out all those plants that would be taking up carbon dioxide. It probably decreased because of that. That'd be my guess. But I mean, at 2 meters, we're talking about neutrality there, really. It's in the 6s, but it's as close to neutral as you could get. And as you go down, the loss of oxygen, it's replaced with carbon dioxide. So that's why you see the lowering down below.
You started off at a half point above neutral.
Yeah, if you go back to May, I think it was in the mid 7s. Yep,
That's June.
that is June.
So during our, finish survey in July, we hit as much of the lake as we could. And at that point, we didn't see a single living Eurasian water milfoil plant.
Wow.
During our survey.
Yeah, I think I talked to Glenn and maybe Aaron Zyman from the APA, and they were concerned about seeing some milfoil along the left-hand side. If you're standing in the inlet looking toward the bay, along that left-hand side, they thought they had some milfoil growing over there. So we hit that pretty hard.
That was pretty early, I think,
That was
like 2
what,
weeks.
2 weeks after?
Yeah,
Yeah. But since we'd heard that, we wanted to check those areas
yeah, thanks.
right away. And what we saw was that utricularia standing up, looking very much like a milfoil plant. But we didn't find
Yeah,
any living
did
milfoil,
it.
yeah.
it's just from a boat.
Yeah,
We will hopefully continue do
yeah, we will.
a 1 year plus 30, 1 year plus 0, 1 year plus 30, 1 year plus 60 next year. Also,
Should I,
and
request
try
that,
to
or
get,
what happened with
Yeah,
it?
we will.
yeah,
We
and
did
try
that
to
on,
hit some more areas, checking the same places we have now, but try to get a few more areas in, just to make sure.
and
How
we've
many
done,
different places are you guys got an eye on?
we did this just Luzerne and Lake Sunnyside, and Lake Sunnyside did their application last year.
Yep.
And we did 3 surveys this year on Lake Sunnyside. And we didn't find any Eurasian water milfoil plants living at all,
Okay.
but very different lakes.
Yeah.
Which is nice to compare the two.
Yeah, Well, you
Lake Sunnyside's a
you
very
certainly-
small kettle
certainly
lake.
know that we'll cooperate any way we can to get more info on our lake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you guys have made it very easy on us. Jim always, staying in good contact, helping us out with the boat. It's made it very easy for us to get out there and get in the water
I
quickly.
even brought the donuts one morning, but you guys were already gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So you ate them all, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's not in the report.
So yeah, well, we plan on being back in the lake next year. And certainly, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them, or feel free to contact us.
Yeah,
at some
Yeah,
point.
and for the folks who did get a copy of all of our films. If you wanna take a look at that and just tell us which ones you're looking, we'll run them at the same time and you can ask us questions and we'll be able to answer a lot more of your questions that way.
Yeah, the films I picked out tonight were really to show Eurasian water milfoil, native milfoils, and then the plant community kind of growth stages throughout the year.
Yeah.
And how Eurasian water milfoil was knocked back and all the natives were growing very nicely into mid to late summer.
The application, very small.
Yeah,
Almost like-
yeah, we don't really have the answer to that, 'cause we weren't involved in the actual application themselves. We just sort of came in on the backside and checked it out afterwards.
How could what we learned this summer be of value to the rest of the watershed?
Well, this isn't going to be the end of your managing milfoil. We fully expect the plant to come back. But until we start seeing it, you guys are in pretty good shape and you should be saving money. Because at some point it is gonna come back and you're gonna have to, then will be the time to get someone in there to hand harvest. And to stop it from getting the kind of density of growth where you would need a suction harvest and stuff like that. If you talk nice to Nick, he'll come and swim around your lake as often as you want to. Personally, I'm retiring, but he'll, keeping an eye out, having if your association could get enough people together, places like Scroon and Brant have what they call scouting. Operations where they send people out looking for it, and that's worked out really well for them. Every time they send a scout out and they'll drop a buoy or something where they think there's some milfoil, you can get somebody out there to take a look and make sure. All of a sudden finding, you got beds again, which will cost you money.
I gotta put you on the spot, Bob.
Sure.
With all of the data and videos that you have, what new have we learned about Priscilla, if anything, and how are you going to disseminate this more broadly?
Well, I would say, like a couple things, having the yearly data is nice, and it's kind of like a snapshot in that lake at that time. And then we can compare next year's film and plan surveys with this year's. That's kind of what we're doing in Sunnyside. Of course, a lot of things change, like this summer, I mean, just the amount of rain compared to last summer, so you're gonna see other changes, but it's all good data to have year after year to kind of look back at what your plant communities look like. How things are rebounding, what natives are coming back in those areas where they were crowded out by Eurasian water milfoil. This year in Sunnyside, we're seeing some natives come back, we're like, I don't remember seeing that many of this species last year. You go back and look and you're like, we definitely did.
Yeah, you're seeing a return to the native community. And that's one of the things people who were against this, what is it gonna do to the native community? Which is a legitimate question. There's native plants that could be damaged by this stuff. But not nearly as damaged as it is by milfoil. Because milfoil just outcompetes everything. It's doing away with your native community and making it a monoculture. You take that back away and give the natives a chance to come back. I think you're back closer to having the native community, which is far more appropriate for the lake.
Bob, what do you think I'm sorry, what do you think the chances are, the odds are that we would have Eurasian in the upper three lakes in our watershed? If you don't know, that's fine.
I don't know. I have, like I said, I was involved with, I think, the 93 and maybe a 97 plant survey here. But off the top of my head, I don't remember who had milfoil and who didn't. There are some other native milfoils above you. But I don't think we found Eurasian water milfoil like in Fourth Lake, but I don't know that for sure.
Rose?
Our lake, Forest Lake, we had 25 years.
Yeah.
And we have never found it. And I'm thinking it has more to do with motorboats, that really.
Absolutely,
bring it in, where
trailer
lakes
boats.
Are not.
Trailer boats really are the source. But it's not the only source, because we have found it in ponds that, canoe access only type of things, so. It's
One of
not
the good
the-
things we've got though, in favor of us, is here's Sunnyside doing the Priscilla a year advanced in front of us. You're into your second year over there.
Yep.
We just started.
Yep.
So now we can take a look, and possibly next year you won't see anything still at Sunnyside. Okay, and start getting analysis to find out when to start kicking back in. Because
Yeah.
right at the present time, what is it? We can't even file for 5 years to use another treatment, correct? I believe.
That I'm not
Wouldn't
sure.
it,
That would be an APA thing.
I
As
don't,
it ends today.
I don't know if they've actually set a requirement like that, but that's kind of what we're hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, and unless it comes back and informs large beds, you wouldn't want to use it again. It's not cost effective. You're really using that when you've seen that some sort of mechanical or hand harvesting is not getting you to where you want to go.
Yeah, we had the track record to prove that.
As
Years of-
do many places.
years of different techniques.
Brantley.
Yeah.
Is having a hard time. Schroon Lake's one of the few that's kind of made it, but it's apples and pickup trucks kind of thing. They're just different. Yours is different from Schroon is Sunnyside is from you. You have 50 feet deep, hard thermocline, multiple inlets. Sunnyside is a pedal pond. There's no inlet, there's no outlet. It's strictly groundwater.
Yeah.
It was a perfect place to experiment with this stuff. So we'll see how it works out for them. But
I,
right now, we've done a lot of swimming there in the last 2 years and we've yet to see a plant.
Has Glen Lake got anything in it?
Glen does have
Yes. It's a couple of years.
dredge and water milfoil and it has used Priscilla.
Oh, they have been.
They have.
When was that?
Maybe 2 years now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they had a treatment this year.
They're not in the APA,
Yeah.
why,
Outside of the park.
which is why we haven't heard much
Yeah.
about
And Saratoga Lake has used
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
I think that happened. But I'm not-
it. I want to thank you guys for coming. Excellent work. Several of us here are active in the association. So we know how to get a hold of you, but anybody that doesn't know how to get a hold of them, come to me.
Well, now that the microphone's off, it's pretty hard pressed to call this work.
I agree.
But one of the things I did want to say is, this is a qualitative look at this, not a quantitative look. We have no numbers. This is strictly a hunt and see what we can see. This is not the kind of study that, the APA talks to us all the time about this, because we're out there looking, but when it comes to numbers and stuff, we can't give them the numbers because we're
Yeah.
doing that.
We're trying to get as much of the lake community covered in the limited amount of time we have
Yeah.
as possible to get that best snapshot we possibly can.
You were telling me about that new camera. I can see. the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Nice.
It really does. Yeah.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you very much.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you.
Maybe set up a Zoom and we can,
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I look at the MP4s. What are the?
They just come along and go.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Just do the MP4s. Okay. Okay, that'd be great. Okay. That, I appreciate it very much. I wrote some. Sorry. No, we.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody, again.
That was great. That was really nice.
We have a couple other presentations, so we're gonna move forward. We got Jason from Thai Sales, gonna go over radio reading equipment for our water meters. Whenever you're ready, we'll give you a few minutes.
Thanks, you guys. You too. Thank you. Well, that's what I'm saying.
This is 34. You just never know. 37. Pretty close to it. I just signed it.
Let's.
That's why I guess have a plan.
Right. Yeah.
Was that a whole lot today?
No. Well, the study they're doing though is showing our regular milk.
I know, it was more,
And
almost
basically-
50 minutes.
No.
I won't say
And our-
going, they like showing what they're
And
doing.
other things like.
Ready to put a cot out back here.
I know, so
Half hour. I thought the one picture you had showed me is my old motor that fell off the back of the belt.
There are a couple motors out there. I remember, who was it years ago? It was like in the 80s. They're out in the boat and they Crank them over and things start on. Or in the wall. Right off like Bugs Bunny cartoon
Over in Bay,
by a public beach.
by the main beach. Mike,
I'm waiting for
Jerry
them.
Flynn, Tommy Flynn.
Are you ready, Chris?
Chris, are they ready?
Took one more, sit on his back, yeah, over the shop.
Okay.
Got out.
You got 3 to 5 minutes. Anybody has to.
Can we do something else first?
You want to do that? That's all.
You're going after it?
All right, guys, while we're waiting for them, we're gonna move down to Jeff Dickinson. We're supposed to be here to talk. All he's trying, he gave it to me and we approved, a new meter box for the water, purification plant. And that was, 15,420. They told him to wait a couple of weeks because the newer model was coming out. And the new model came out and it's slightly more, it's 17,836, which is a $2,396 more on what we voted on. So it's up to you, gentlemen, what you want to move forward with it. Change the resolution to add on that 2,396 or ask for more information.
Oh, but This new equipment, if it's updated equipment, you have to make that move step anyways. You know what I mean? It's logical pathway. I mean, it's updated equipment.
Yeah, it's updated, right? They told them to wait a couple. weeks.
Recent, yeah, and I understand the theory and the thinking behind that is sound. I mean, it is what it is.
Protocol, Mary? On that, how many bids do we need?
What's the price, the total price?
15,000.
Well, we already approved.
We already approved the
It's going up to
15,000. 420 month ago, 2 months ago.
I asked earlier if we'd already written the PO and we haven't, because I was thinking, couldn't we just do a change order?
Yeah, so the resolution would just have to be changed to whatever cost.
The new cost.
We're just asking for 2,000.
What is it for?
It's a meter box at the water plant and.
It's new communications between,
Yeah, get everything set on technology more than anything else.
When you did the initial resolution, did you follow the procurement policy? I don't know that you have to, I don't know.
I did a couple of.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. Because we buy equipment from this.
Might be a sole source.
Gave us several prices on something.
You know, I think it was a sole source.
It was a sole.
I think it was, because I think it was like, it was just didn't make any sense. There's nowhere to go anywhere else. I believe that's what.
That's what he said.
Then
Yeah,
you just-
I believe so.
Everybody hear that?
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion?
Yeah, I get a motion. I make a motion.
Do it this week or you want to do it?
Hanlon,
Oh,
A second.
What is it? Spell it.
and
All right with me.
Up to these guys, whatever they say.
We have a motion.
Got a
and
motion? We got a.
Yeah, we have a motion and we have a second. Yes.
all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Hearing none carried. And that's for the 17,836.
17,836, yes.
Okay.
Are you ready, Jason?
Whatever you guys.
No, you're up next, so we, go ahead.
Oh. I just sat down. Again, Jason Matt with Ty Sales. Over here I have Brandon Boyle. He's with Neptune. He's a local guy. He lives over in Queensbury. Little about me. I'm from more central New York, Rome area, Tug Hill, more specific. Anybody knows where that is. So what I did is kind of talking with Lori and Sydney and with the guys down at the water department, talking about metering and softwares and where things are at as far as Ty Sales and Neptune. So what I wanted to do is kind of throw a quick slide together for you guys, a little PowerPoint. We'll go over kind of a couple things to kind of tell you where we're at. One of the big things that's going on is software, which is always a fun thing to talk about. There's been vast improvements from where you guys are at. I don't know how familiar you guys are at how you currently read meters. So currently, just kind of back it up to that part is, so currently right now, guys are going out with books, actually with a handheld and a touchpad reader. They're hitting a house, it's coming through the touchpad. reader gun through a handheld, and then they're able to download it into the software. So not much is gonna change on that aspect. The platform and the software we use is where the major change is gonna happen. So go ahead. So basically, where I kind of start off, just kind of Ty Sales history, Neptune history. So Ty Sales been in business 1963. It is a family-owned business. We are on to our third technical owner, which is a guy named Marty Mazzella. Been in the water industry for 50 years, roughly. We've been Neptune since 1892. Neptune still is US made. It's made in Tallahassee, Alabama. So we own our own foundry. So your product is all US North American made. We've been a tier 1 distributor since 1985. So what that basically means is we have stocking inventory, support staff, and a direct link right to Neptune, basically.
So the reason to do that is in the system world, you're gonna have multiple customers, so Ty Sales have over 400 customers. We require a level one distributor, so that's for support, that's for system maintenance, that's obviously for sales guys as well. So Ty Sales covers all of New England and then upstate New York. And then my territory is eastern New York and all New England, so we work hand in hand. So we supply the product, and then Ty Sales is our level one distributor that supports, sells, and maintains the systems.
So just kind of, our core values is fast service, stand behind our product, and we know what we're talking about. So we constantly get education from Neptune. We constantly are learning our new stuff. We're working with municipalities to learn what is needed out there. So, so basically where we're going to start is reading technology. So the key terms, you have AMR, AMI, we have system components, what is made up of that. We have managed AMI services. I did throw water infrastructure because I thought a couple of the water department guys were going to be here, so I threw it in there. We'll kind of just jump over it because it's really for the treatment guys more than for the technology of today's conversation. So we'll jump right into AMR, AMI. Basically, AMR, AMI is a key term. So it's automated meter reading service and automated meter infrastructure. So basically infrastructure is putting up collectors to have them come in. AMR is driving around getting the reads. You guys currently have a first iteration of an AMR where you're going around collecting the reads and they're coming through automatically. So basically when we look at this, when we talk about AMR is we're talking about implementing either a touchpad or a radio. So what the radio will do is the radio will then transmit up and out. And as you're driving around, you will start to just collect the read. So there's no more walking up to a house, hit the touchpad, get the read, and have it come through. With having it be more of a collection method of drive-by means a little bit faster read times, more frequent read times, so that way you can manage how much water you're actually using and be able to really understand when you're using it a little bit better. Because currently right now, I believe me, once a year, correct? You're reading. So you could go to more often readings. You could still bill once a year. It's nothing would change with that. It would be more of reading so you can collect data, so you can understand when you're using water, how you're using water, help detect leaks in your system. Because if you're producing 1 million gallons a day and you're only billing for 500,000, you're losing water. You know, currently when you wait a year, you really have no idea when that leak might have happened or where it might happen, because beautiful lakefront and water can go right into the lake and you'll never see it, right? So that's what metering and electronic metering with radios can help provide.
So with the reading system, right, you're gonna be able to obtain a lot more data. So not just your meter reads, but let's talk about non-revenue water, right? So the more frequently you're grabbing that data, the more you're able to compare, right? We just watched that presentation before. You guys saw the different levels each, 30 days, similar thing. So if you're reading on a 30-day basis, you can collect all the data in your system, compared to your source meter and figure out where you're possibly losing, water. Another thing that you'll see is when you're collecting those reads, you might see some reverse, water flow, which means that let's say you have one street and all the meters are flowing backwards. You might have a main break in the street, right? So you're catching water that you're losing before, waiting one to you and you guys go out and collect your
Well, what's the
information.
difference then of what we're doing presently with a handheld? The men are still going to go out and do handheld, correct?
So
Basically,
Well, no, so basically a radio would be attached instead of a touchpad. You'd have a radio transmitting an RF signal that your reader will just read from the truck. So they still have to go out, but they wouldn't be getting out of the truck, walking up the house, walking street to street. And you'd be able to collect all that data.
Is this comparable to,
NIMO.
yeah, so they do the same thing now, the smart meters, they
Yeah,
get.
it's a, yes, I mean,
Kinda,
an easy term, yes.
So Jason, you have slides on the radios and stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
we're
we'll
gonna
get into
so-
like the nitty gritty of the technical, right? And the aspects of it. So like,
And I have a product I can show you. as
Nobody's
well.
come up with a solution though to put a transmitting signal out of everybody's separate meter back to one location yet, so you don't have to put man out.
Absolutely, that's the AMI. So when I talked about AMI, that's what it is, and that's what we'll get to on these, a couple of
Okay,
slides.
thank you.
so
Yep.
when Neptune developed their platform, right, you can see the shoes for walk by, you got the drive by. The third symbol will be your AMI system. So basically putting up your own antenna, right? So think of it as you have a gateway, put it on a tank or something, and it's just, ears out there listening for the radio transmissions. And the last one we have is also a cellular endpoint, which you're using a cellular carrier. The way you can kind of think about it though is, once you start moving down, the tiers, it's obviously going to be more expensive, right? So Neptune tries to consult a path that can be best for the utility on a cost savings, but also most effective, right? So at the end of the day, all Neptune cares about is getting your meter reading data back to the software, which Jason will go into. as we
Yeah,
go
so-
through the presentation.
And that's exactly what the next slide shows. So you have those collection methods. That's exactly what he's talking about. So we have what we call tailored solution. So what that means is we're gonna take whatever way fits each municipality, and we're gonna get it from the house to the software. So that way you guys can bill, you guys can look at the reads, and you can manage and look at your system. The plus side to this newer system, it is cloud-based. So down at the DPW and those guys would be able to see this data, be able to look it up right after they read. They can read as often as they want or need. So garbage truck, you could throw this into a garbage truck and you could read the village. Every Tuesday that you pick up, I think it's Tuesday, I'm guessing. Felt like a Tuesday type of town. Sorry. So essentially, this is exactly what a radio read would do. Driving around, picking up reads, this is what we call a traditional AMR system with radios. So you just drive around, we have a pretty little single cab pickup truck there for you guys. So the next slide will kind of show.
There you go.
There it goes. So, and then this here is what we'd call traditional AMI system.
Too many trees.
So this is what we call a traditional AMI system. So we put collectors, what he said earlier, that's what each one of those circles represents. So, and the reads just come in. I don't say you need 7 of them for here, but it just gives you the depiction of what we're actually talking about. And so the last one is what we said earlier, keyword I said is tailored solution. So basically where we can take and you can have one gateway and you can collect 80% of your reads. You could have 2 gateways and collect 80%, and the rest we fill in with either drive-by or a cellular backhaul. So we can get to that, what you're talking about, where the reads just come in. And it makes it most economical because putting 12 gateways out there is a lot more expensive than putting 25 cellular units out there. And I know what you're gonna say, cellular service here is what it is, right? In certain spots, we have hardly any. So this runs on a little bit different network. So our cellular radios, which I don't want to jump ahead, but I kind of did. So basically this is where our 900 AMI system comes into play. You have your 2 gateway and you have your cellular going to the software and then coming in.
Just a quick question.
No, go ahead.
Out in left field, it's gonna come out.
I love it.
Where do you come up with it? Hackability.
Yeah.
Security.
So security wise, cloud based, I'll be honest, this is held at Amazon server. So I mean, as
So-
far as,
Yeah, so
You know-
Neptune, we're part of a company called Roper. So we're an $80 billion company. It's our parent company. We have a partnership with Amazon Web Service and we're actually at the level 1 tier. So the encryption coming off the meter read, right? It's just the radio number and the current read and it's flags, nothing more, no customer information, nothing like that. When it gets pushed back to the cloud software, there's obviously securities and encryption. And we actually do penetration tests every 3 months on our
Good.
own system as well. So it's
Is it-
very secure. We haven't had any issues with it.
Is it the new, like the new the radios they're using for police and fire? Is it like that, it packages it,
So it's funny.
sends it, and
So
locks it when it gets there?
Jason was just talking a little bit about cellular endpoint, and I think today we're more focusing on the AMR drive-by component in the new software. But our cellular endpoint does have that encryption. We actually use AT&T FirstNet, which is encrypted from the endpoint to the network, from the network to the software. So it does encrypt the data as it's moving through the transmission.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going next one.
yeah.
You're gonna have to explain that to me.
So this is just another slide showing the Taylor solution and being able to put, like, we have a couple blue dots in the middle of that. So that's just kind of showing, oh, there's ginormous house blocking this house and you can't get the radio transmission through on a fixed network system. So we put a cellular radio there just because of photography. You know, it could have been giant trees, it could be a giant house, it could be a mountain. Could be a multitude of things that might interfere. So basically what we'll jump into is AMI products, like we talked about, the infrastructure of what it would be. So starting from the right and working my way left. I don't know why that's up there, but
Not the gateway, it's just a different gateway. So we have
Yeah, I don't
two different gateways. So we have a smart city option.
oh, yeah.
You can put the
I
gateway
think-
up and you can do street lights. It's more, I mean, we see a lot more cities use it, Boston, Providence, like Albany, New York City. So they put up one collection method that can be heard by multiple devices. And then the Neptune one you see in the to the right in the middle. That's just a traditional, just for the meter reading, infrastructure.
Do they want a telephone pole or something?
It's good, well, so that doesn't actually go up in the air. We actually have, it's like a 3-foot whip antenna. And it's a coaxial, connects it to this device, and that's at ground level. So you want to be able to like service it, and that's where a modem is held. And we also have a battery backup and stuff like that. Popular things to put them on is going to be a telephone pole, a water tower, taller buildings, of that such will be where they would be most utilized. We have people that are throwing towers up. I don't know if the problem here is your Adirondack Park.
Yep.
So we have, I believe it's 72 feet.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it
We only got 35,
35?
just barely above the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
What tree? Everyone around out here is over.
yeah, so,
About over there.
so this place might not be the best candidate, and I ran into this in Northville. If you know where Northville is over in Sacandaga Lake, they were in the same situation. They chose to stay AMR for that exact reason. But we did cut the read time down from touchpad to reading by, about 3 weeks, so cut down read time.
I think the biggest thing today, just to understand, right, from our perspective, is you guys are going out, you're doing man hours, you're getting it once a year, right? So you're collecting information once a year. You guys are going out there and collecting it with a touchpad. The biggest thing that I think we're trying to come across with today is going to the radio read. You don't need to go right to AMI, and with our solution, you can transition in time, right? So I'm sure there's a
Yes.
slide on the radio itself, but we'll get into how the transmissions work. And you guys can migrate at your pace. I think, we're just trying to show you that you do have a step forward if you ever wanted to go AMI, where you're getting hourly reads coming into your system instead of driving around each time when you get the reads.
We're using right now, if I'm not mistaken, and our deputy can confirm this, we're using about approximately 80 man hours to collect our data. That's
Yes,
5 days, 40
About
hours,
5 days.
2 men,
Two men.
okay,
It.
Mhm.
with a handheld,
depends
Yep.
on,
And how the
whether
touchpad
problems
reader,
or
yes.
Repairs
What-
and things like that.
right? How much time is that gonna cut that down?
So
Would you say an estimate? I know.
So an estimate, so there's 2 reading devices. If you have similar to what you have now.
Yep.
I would say you're about 1,000 accounts, probably take about 2 hours. If you go to our next tier up, we'd probably be about an hour. So to put it in another term, is you're talking how many miles of pipe divided by 35 miles an hour.
But you're also talking in regards to dollars and cents.
Absolutely, yes. You know, yeah, how much it costs, the infrastructure, but
That's right.
also. The data that you get will also help save money in other ways. We'll be able to help with leak detection to homeowners. You know, being able to say, hey, you have a leak, we read your meter, you're showing up as having a leak. So it'd be preemptive striking.
But that will only happen if we go to the top-notch system.
No, if you go to where you're just reading, like I said, put it in a garbage truck and read it, you come back, you can have all that leak detection done. We'll dive into more leak detection as well.
Can the detector be moved to another vehicle or has to be installed in?
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
take one bolt for an.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, both devices. One is a battery powered one. One all does is plug into a cigarette lighter outlet, and it has a roof mount magnet antenna on it. So both components are mobile.
How
Whatever.
close does it have to get?
I'm sorry.
How close does it have to get to the meter it's reading?
So this is a tough thing because again, I talked about the trees, all that stuff, right? So the the walk by, which we call it a belt cut, is I say about 900 feet.
We're all well in that, town water. I don't.
The MRX, which is your mobile system. I mean, I've seen it hit a mile, but that's extreme. Here, you'll never hit a mile. You got 300-year-old oak trees out there.
I'm not really sure we even hit 900 feet around here. I mean,
No.
maximum 100 feet.
But it is line of sight though, right?
No, because, so it's kind of different, because how RF technology works is it goes up like a mushroom cloud. So it's going up and out, and that's why when we do AMI, we want to get above the trees, because that's where the signal is most active and has less chance of being blocked. So it's not exactly direct line of sight, but things can block you from direct line of sight. So if it has somebody parked, puts a dumpster in front of the radio, it might interfere with that transmission coming out. Same thing if you have it in the basement and have a steel floor, that can interfere. So there are things that degrade the RF signal where it can't get through.
That's structures and all that.
Well, the big thing that we have here, is we only do it once a year,
Yes,
and we do get people that return the bill. $1,500, $1,800, supposed to be only 150. Well, we had one a couple months ago, somebody fixed the problem in a leak. And then when they all left for the winter, the leak happened again, and they used up a lot of water.
yes,
So we'd like, 4 times a year would be something good. We have Jeff, sometimes he says something's wrong in an area over here. We're using a lot of water. That's when I call Ron, get your guys out, look for any puddles coming out of the ground.
right.
That's how we detect it. So this is really technology to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it can help do. It can help definitely figure out exactly what's going on. And like I said earlier, I mean, billing once a year because of office man hours is obviously something that obviously it increase if you increase how often you bill. But then you can read as often as you want. One doesn't have to coincide with the other. I have people that read every single week. Village of Greenwich, not far, they read every week. Corinth reads once a month. They bill every quarter.
So we could stay with the annual billing,
Yep.
just read more often
And-
to see for look.
Yep. And we call that like an off-cycle read, if you will. And what you do is, a lot of folks, what they do, they'll do a hot pick letter or an email notification or something like that, saying you're showing that you have a leak, get it checked out, or it'll reflect on your bill.
The software flags the ones that are obviously
Yeah.
not normal.
Yep, so the way it works, right? So you have your radio out there. Every 14 seconds, it's sending a mobile signal. So it's sending you the read and it sends you the packet. In the packet, it's going to give you a no flow. It's going to give you a reverse flow. It's going to give you a continuous flow, meaning that water move forward, and then it's going to give you a
Anyway,
intermittent. So with that data, every 14 seconds, it's transmitting it. And then every 7.5 minutes, it actually does a 1 watt blast, which is a stronger signal if you do have an AMI system. So every 14 seconds, 100 milliwatts, every 7.5 minutes, it's a 1 watt blast. And then every 15 minutes, the radio goes down, checks on the meter and says, hey, what do you have? Did the meter move or did it not? Obtains the flags, same thing. So if you're reading once a week, you're grabbing the raw read, right? So now you can do some non-revenue water comparison as well as grabbing those flags. So let's say you read 1 week, the customer's water is not on a continuous flow. The next week, the data will tell you, hey, that water has been running continuously. So it's checked at every 15 minutes. There's 96 15-minute intervals in a day. It's going to say, hey, water is running for that entire day, and start counting those days until the next time you read it. So then you can be proactive and reach out to your customers saying, hey, you might have a leak. We've noticed that your water's been running for 7 straight days. The other feature in the radio is it actually stores 96 days of hourly data. So at any point you can data log that radio, right? So you're not using a fixed network. We call it leveraging AMR. You can data log that radio and you can get 96 days of data from that radio. So then you can go to the customer, show a graph and say, hey, look, it looked like your leak started on this date. Or if they're complaining about a high bill, you can say, hey, it looks like you filled up the pool on Memorial Day, right? So it's being able to leverage that data as it comes in so you can be more proactive with your customers, as well as, use it as a balance sheet for your water system, to compare the data that you've seen previously the last time you read.
And this will work with our existing meters.
Yes. So the issue is you do have 15-plus-year-old meters and you have brand new meters. So when he talks about data logging and all that, we do have that capabilities. Our radios will detect the flags as well. The only issue is older meters couldn't read as granular. What that means is current residential meters read down to 0.1 gallons. Whereas the older style radios read in 50-gallon bursts. So every 50 gallons it would trigger. So when they're doing water bills, some people, well, everybody, I don't know, I can't remember what you bill down to here, but you do 1,000 gallons.
What do you?
Do you bill on 1,000 gallons, every 1,000 gallons?
No, it's 60,000 for the base rate of 150.
Mhm.
And then anything over 60,000 is 0.2 3/4 cents per gallon.
So you do read to the gallon.
Yeah, we do.
Yep, so you do read to the gallon, which is a very, very nice thing. It's rarity that it happens. So basically, they're currently, every single person with an older style radio, the final number they read is always a 0. So you're actually not billing for that 0 to 9 because it could be a 0. And then the next number is 50 or a 0. So everybody's bill is going to be always 50 or the next 100. Whereas the new meters, we are able to read to the gallon. Actually, we're able to read to 0.1 gallons and be able to detect that all the time.
So the reason that's important, and let's just put 2 scenarios in place, right? Someone's using a gallon a day because they have a leak, right? So you see a gallon a day streaming through. The first meter, which is the older style, is only going to register every 100 gallons. So if they're using a gallon an hour, right? That's going to be 24 gallons in a day. That meter is not going to tick because it's an older style meter and you're only seeing consumption at 100 at a time. With the new meters down to 0.1 gallons, you're going to see it ticking every 0.1. So when you pull that data, you're going to be able to see it down to, more of a finer minute than you are with the older style meter. So we might be able to work with the meters, but you might not get the data that you're looking for.
So at the present time, the meters we have can be used.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The price of a new meter to go on as we progress or one breaks down to replace that. And my other question is what's that going to save this lady over here in time on her billing cycle at the end of the year?
Can we pause for a minute to change the disc?
Uh,
To change the distance.
time to go.
Hold that up.
Won't leave that up. Yeah, it's already gone. You're gonna ask the question again.
The bottom line, of course, is to come up with the correct figures for the customer, the townspeople. The second thing is to save money in regards to her
I
value.
think
of
we're
time.
gonna save more on the readers than you will our office, because we still have to do the same amount of bills. We still have to print them. We
That's
still
what I
have to go through them. You know, so.
So basically, we're talking about saving 5 days, 2 men or 80 hours.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
How's the weather outside?
Chris, we need music.
Intermission, come on, where's the popcorn?
Elevator music. I'll have that queued up.
Yeah, thanks, elevator music. No. I just wanna know what the bottom figure is, I can see the advantages and everything.
Guys, too.
1 week.
Well, you gotta wait.
Mary's gonna lose her mind in a minute. She's gonna be like,
We can re-talk what we're saying.
We're rolling.
Okay,
ahead.
it takes them a full week to read, sometimes a little more. But then. It takes another week to 2 weeks for them to go out. If I find, say a meter is,
That's repairs though.
but some of those have to be done to get accurate readings before
I know.
I can go forward. So it could take up to 3 weeks to finalize all the readings for billing.
But that's not all 40 hours of each of those
For 3
weeks.
weeks.
No, that's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
And
If you were to
so
take staff.
where does yours fit into that?
So
Another. I wanna say. 20 hours anyway.
So that puts
It's
us up
another
to like,
20 hours.
puts us up to like 100.
And then
40, 40.
this
Give or take, yeah. Depends on the year, depends on how many.
Well,
2 days.
yeah, but if it's raining, they're doing something else.
Yes.
I mean, I think you gotta look at it from a different perspective too, right? You got non-revenue water, saving money on pumping water, chemicals, all that stuff, right? The other thing too is if you were to ever go to quarterly billing or even biannual billing, right, to help the residents, you're able to, get those reads a lot quicker and get that data, as well as, from a customer service aspect, being able to notify your customers of that non-revenue water. Don't know if you guys do any credits or abatements, some towns do, some towns don't. But now you have the proof to say, hey, look, you use that water, we're not gonna give you an abatement, we can prove it, with the data that we have.
Well, it's no different in the same situation as what you're saying. We're reading by the gallon, yours is reading, or the next step up, we gotta go through 100 gallons before it registers. Okay, but at the same time, the following year, we're picking up what we didn't pick up this year.
And there's other reports that you can run in the system, right? So even if you're getting it at 100 gallons a time, right? So like if you're reading on a monthly basis, we do have consumption report where you can say, hey, give me the person's last, 3 months of usage, narrow it down to the last 30 days. Let me know anyone that's used 2, 3, or 4 times more than normal use, right? So even though you don't have that data, you'll be able to, use the other reports that we have to kind of look into the customer's profile and say, hey, you might have an issue here. You might want to check on, what's going on.
So, just to kind of jump back to your question, how can it help the billing, right? And how can it improve that? As far as bottom line, she's still got to print, what is it, 1,000?
Close to 1,000.
Close to 1,000 accounts. It's still got to go on through, it still all has to be done. Where it can save is the go backs. So if we're proactively reading, then they proactively know issues that might arise. Cut wire, a stop meter, all that stuff is still going to be in the play. But what it will do is it'll minimize the amount of time it takes to get the bills out. So instead of it taking 30, 60 days, by the time you're all said and done, because all their stuff comes up, that's where it can increase and decrease her time telling them what to do, where they're able to have access to the data, they'll have access to the radios, and they'll have access to be able to see these reports, and will happily train everybody and anybody that would want to be involved
And that would be like throughout the year.
throughout the year.
Okay.
Always upkeep, always moving.
And that's the thing too, right? You'll know when a meter fails, right? So let's say you just went out and read and that meter fails the next month. You're waiting 11 months to find out that that meter is not consuming anymore, consumption.
And then
there's that.
you would do an estimate, right, in that case. Right?
They get the minimum charge normally.
They just get a minimum charge,
Yeah.
and they could have had a leak and use 100,000 gallons.
Like, again, getting back to that one instance we had with the, hey, it's been leaking. I mean, they could have, that could have been taken care of, intercept with a, oh, hey, look, you guys are running through water, might want to have it looked at. And it could have been knocked off. with-
Middle of winter, it's freezing. Something
Yeah, I mean, it
freezes.
could have been taken care of and addressed right then, and not have an angry, someone sitting there going, why didn't I know? Wow.
We had one earlier this year, it was over $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And that would have been the email, or whatever, we would have got a hold of them, it would have taken care of that.
Yeah, I mean, every municipality we go through this, and every one of them, you guarantee every single time, there's no possible way I use that much water is the
Well,
famous words of the billing season. Everybody's here. So being able to say, hey, we tried notifying, we tried to do it, that's where it would be customer outreach would also save you.
Screws it up.
Can you project on, in regards to total cost for the system?
Absolutely, yep. So I did put, I mean, we'll go finish going through a couple things here. I did throw budget numbers together on a bunch of different things. And we'll get into a little bit more of product and we can get a little bit more into software. To kind of show you the software real quick. So basically what we're looking at here is our cloud-based software. Our cloud-based software is now called Neptune N360. And so what you're looking at right there is reading intervals. So this is if you went out every single day and read. So being that you're an AMR system, you're only going to see that. And let's say you read once a week, you'd see that, you just see 2 bars. Okay, just so you kind of understand that's reading intervals. So an AMI system, you'll see that daily, and an AMR system, you'll see that whenever you read. On there, you have top 10 accounts, like top 10 users. You know, and you see little old Mrs. Smith all of a sudden as a top 10 user 1 month. You might want to give her a call. You know, something's happening in her house.
Walking on rhododendrons.
Fill the swimming pool.
The other thing that we do is we GIS locate all your accounts on a map. So when the guys go out and read, they're driving around playing Pac-Man. I know the village, town is what it is, you know, there's not a lot of huge forks that go off, but there's subdivisions and stuff like that. And so basically what that does is it helps with route optimization. So we talk about the amount of time it takes to read. Well, if it's plotted on a map, and we see that we got all this cul-de-sac done, we don't even have to go down 12th Street. We can just keep on driving. And so that's what that would help do. And all this stuff coincides with bring your own device. So basically when we go out and read, we're no longer carrying that old handheld that we currently have. So now it is all smart device. So a tablet or a cell phone connects to our reading devices, and that's how you get your reads. And so basically it's all cloud-based. So you just hit enter when you have cell phone service or Wi-Fi connection, and the reads just get uploaded into the system.
Installation is how?
Installation of,
The unit in the house.
so it is exactly the same thing as what you have now. So we have 2 versions. We have where you just put a radio on the outside of the house. Which,
Yeah.
sorry, it has a long wire, which is this guy right here. This is called an R900 radio. It's very underwhelming. It's the same wire that you currently are using. And there's a back plate that mounts right in the same spot as where your current touchpad is mounted. So there's no more drilling new holes, but the exact same spot, gets wired up with the same wire.
Okay.
The other option is what we call an integrated version. So this is all-in-one. Same functionality as this with your current register, but it's integrated into one unit. So there's no running wires. There, it's just put a new meter in with this and it's working.
So pros and cons, right?
How are you adapting? Or how is that being installed? Because right now we have water coming out of the ground through your meter through that.
Oh, so, yeah, I mean,
Issue,
sorry.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, geez, oops, sorry. So it still connects to this meter body.
The water going.
So it goes right on the present meter box.
Goes exactly on the meter body that you have, or you replace the whole meter.
That ships the water.
Yes.
The 2 different decimals. That one, when you just put the meter on, you'd have to get into a lot of homes to do that.
Yes, you have to get into every
Any
home.
one
You
of
would not have to get
Yes and no, because back in the day, nobody was hooking up. There's 3 wires on these.
Okay.
There's a communication wire. And that communication wire, a lot of times was not installed on old style. 2-wire was only used. When 8 years ago, they started doing 3 wires and everything. When I started, because I yelled at them. Because you're in the house, put the 3 wires in. Now you don't ever have to get in that house again. So some yes, some no.
But if you were to use that new thing, you have to get in every house no matter.
You have to get
Oh,
everything. Yes.
No matter what we do, we gotta get into the house.
So just for conversation's sake, there is a 2-wire to 3-wire adapter. It is not economical to use in a whole village for town. I'll tell you that right up front. It's not worth doing. It's worth making an appointment to get in. It's just the cost. But if you have somebody who's never here and you want to finish a street, you could use one of those adapters.
So-
Yep, go ahead.
I was gonna say, keep in mind, right, we don't need to do a full change out all in 1 year, right? So what we see a lot of times do, so with our software, you're gonna be able to still do your touchpads. And then you can install radios, right? So if you want to do 10% a year, you could. You go out, you read with the drive-by, get your 10% that year, right? Next year it'll be 20, next year it'll be 30 is the goal. But then you go back out and you do your touchpads. So you're slowly migrating to a radio system where you don't have to front that capital all up front, right? So maybe you have customers that complain a lot. Maybe you have customers that you want to watch that usage. You attack those first. And then you slowly migrate your system as meters age or as you see fit that, you know, if the money comes in. We see a lot of towns get 20, 30, 40, and they say, okay, let's just do the rest. So you can migrate at your pace. So this software, you're going to be able to use the touchpad system and as well as the radio read system, whatever way you want, whether you want to do drive-by or if you want to go AMI. But we try to tailor it so it's at your, you know, at your pace.
So like the pits, if you know, we have 5 routes for anybody that's not sure how this works. We have 5 routes. 2 are small, 1 is medium, and then we have 2 big routes. So like migrating maybe the 3 small ones in 1 year and the other 1 big one and then the next big. But the pits would be a good place to start too, because the homeowners can't get in to look at them and see that they're leaking. Our guys are the only ones that do that. So if those things, you know, if it was on the pits, that would, some of them leak and we don't know it until we do the billing. That would be
Yeah, and
an advantage as far as people with pets,
absolutely.
right off the start is what I'm.
Yeah, and there's no exact plan, like you said earlier, we help develop a plan that work right for you guys and budgetary and figure out a game plan. And we can do forecasting the best of our ability. As you know, lately, product costs have gone awry. I yelled at my product rep a lot this year. I made him cry once.
Curl up in a fetal position.
Stop calling me.
At least it was a Friday afternoon.
So, you know, so we do our best we can now with the forecasting, because we just don't know where things go. So, but we have done that in the past as well.
How long are you gonna service this equipment?
So to give you an idea, so the first
The
iteration,
time I got my new computer installed a couple of years ago, it was already obsolete.
I will tell you, this doesn't move that fast. So
Yeah.
Neptune does have a commitment to forward and backwards compatibility. To give you an example, City of Glens Falls has version 1 of this radio, and they have the latest radio out there. And they read with the oldest handheld can read the newest radio, the newest handheld or reading device can read the oldest radio.
How old's their oldest one?
2000.
1998.
Jeff would know. Jeff did the install. So the version 1, to give you an idea. So they, you know, they do have that commitment to forward and backwards compatibility. You know, we don't want to leave people out there reading equipment and reading devices. They do everything they can to be forward and backwards compatible. There's sometimes unforeseen things like the availability of Bluetooth. We had to switch our style of Bluetooth that we use. So there's stuff like that that's unforeseen, but for the most part, that's what we're looking at.
So this is a live version of the software, right? So want to kind of give you a glimpse of it. So this is the system consumption. This is Amherst, Mass, one of our customers. The first top here is a system consumption, so they read periodically. You can see the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24, getting their reads. Up here in the top right is when you load a route, so you'll see what comes in, so what's been complete and what's missed. So for example, there looks like they're gonna start reading tomorrow, 1,720 reads. So they have 1,720 incomplete. If you're doing that migration approach, when you go out and do your drive-by, you might see, 170 be, complete, and then you have your remaining touchpads to do, right? So these are, KPI filters that you guys can use. This one's what's been read via AMR, and then if you click over, you'll see what's been read via AMI. So this is a cool feature. This is a continuous consumption. So I talked about it earlier, right? So the radio goes down every 15 minutes to see if water's moved, right? So if water has moved, it kind of checks a box. If water has moved 96 times in a day, right? That's 96 15-minute intervals, is checking the box. It's going to put you on a report. So what you can do is you can do it by critical, warning, and normal. So what you might say is 1 to 7 days is normal. 7 to 14 is warning, and then anything over 21 is critical. So as you get these reads, you'll see those accounts filter into that population, and you'll be able to manage it and reach out to your customers saying, hey, you might have a possible leak here, by obtaining that data. Next is reverse flow. This is great. Another one for having the the smart radios. If someone flips their meter, right? We've all seen that. You're going to go out, you're going to read once a month, you're going to catch that person. So now they're stealing water and stealing money, right? So your unaccounted goes down and you're also losing revenue. So by going out and reading on a weekly or monthly basis, you're going to be able to see the reverse flow offenders. So this will populate there. And then last one, this is if you would have had gateways in your system. Now moving over here, we talked a little bit about the data log, right? So if you go into a data log, we'll see if they have one. They do. We'll use this one right here. So once the meter reader in the field data logs that radio, right? So you're obtaining that 96 days of data. It's going to be sent back to, oops, the perfect example of someone using a 1,000 gallons register.
Your legacy style meters, how you're seeing the burst, this is what a data log would end up looking like. Or you just see 1,000 gallons ran on that date.
Let me see if I can find a
The
better
next
one.
time it gets through 1,000 gallons.
April. Swimming pool.
Yeah.
See if I can find another one just so you guys can see.
You fix all the leaks, the leak will go down 2 foot.
So here's somebody using constant water, right? So you're able to go down, this is from 12/15, this is 96 days of data, all the way over to, looks like March 2nd was when they obtained the data. So if you want to, from a customer service aspect, you can drill down, and now you're getting hourly data on that customer. So you can see this person's using 25, 30, 30, 25, 25, 30. And this is cubic feet.
Is this system ever used to monitor mains?
Say again,
Is this system ever used to monitor mains?
in what way?
So,
Like
yes.
main
So
on the
basically-
street
Yeah, so basically what we're.
or just houses?
No, so basically what happens is you'd have an interconnect meter or distribution meter. And then you'd be able to monitor that meter versus what that district uses. So this is used in that exact manner. They have.
That's how they get us.
And then you can meter what's going to a certain area. I know you have like south side or something like that, and you can throw a meter in the ground to meter just that.
Well, the water from Corinth feeds,
Yeah.
The
And the
area
cool
down-
thing is,
down in this
Yeah.
south end of East River Drive,
yes, exactly.
okay? And I would imagine, is that what they're using on it then,
Say again.
on the main?
Yes,
That goes up under the bridge to Luzerne.
They would probably know more than I do.
yeah, so. So yeah, so that's exactly what they're doing. They're using that to monitor. The cool thing about this system is, like we talked about, if you do have interconnect meters. Or distribution meters, we can throw a cellular device on there and you'll be able to read that hourly, all the time. And it just lives in the software and you'll be able to see that. So you'd be able to say, hey, this area is using an abundance of water. But they're not showing up that they have this much being billed. something's going on in this area where we're losing water. So you'd be able to have that type of knowledge going on,
So
if
we
you
might
had
find it
district
before
meter.
It comes up out of the ground.
If it doesn't come up out of the ground, you know, you hit a sand spot and it
Well,
just
you also
goes
got the other
straight
factor,
to
Lori.
the lake.
Fire department, flushing
There's
hydrant.
another aspect of it. This is route assignment, so this is another cool feature. So right now, you're probably loading the handhelds, you're loading a thumb drive.
No, they're throwing it, they're using.
CE, so you're using the C to go out and get your reads. So with this software, the meter reader is gonna have their phone or tablet. They're gonna have their reading device, so it's Bluetooth connectivity, right? And you're using cellular or Wi-Fi backhaul to get the data back. Well, you'll be able to load the routes from the office. So you'll be able to say, hey, route 1, this meter reader, route 2, this meter reader, or you can do multiple routes for one meter reader. So then all that stuff is pushing
I know.
and pulling from the software.
Right now, we load all 5 routes into that.
Yeah, come back, you gotta dock it, make sure it's charged, all that stuff. Now,
Go out and
that
do
doesn't happen anymore. So there's no more worried about this dock having the right IP address, because I guarantee you it happens to you every single
it. It
year.
does.
Yep, I read the report every single year. I know when you guys are on, and I know it's an IP address issue because something happened in here where IP address changed slightly and it's not connected. So that wouldn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
You would just have to have access to the internet to log into our website.
So in other words, they're out and they're reading and they come back, say at 1 o'clock and say, we're done with route 1.
They don't even have to come back.
They wouldn't have.
They have to just hit sync. They're done.
And it comes to.
And then within, we say like an hour, within an hour, those reads are all on the computer and you're able to look at them.
Okay,
And you could say, hey, 12 Main Street, I don't have a read for that. Come on, man.
yeah, because they come back when they're done with each route and we unload it because we worry about losing information.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, let's face it, they're out there, it's 90 degrees, they're walking on foot, they're up and down hills, under houses.
absolutely.
So we unload each route as they finish it.
They could unload, if they do a street, they could hit sync.
Okay.
If all we gotta have is either Wi-Fi or a data plan, cell phone or a tablet in service, right? So, and those two things, they'll be able to sync at any time. And they don't lose the reads, the leads are just uploaded, the rest of the reads that remain will just remain. If for any odd reason they hit the wrong button, they just gotta reassign the route back to themselves, so it's no catastrophe will happen.
Yeah.
The reads are all still there.
So I'm gonna go through some of the reports real quick. So first one's invalid reads. So when you go out and get that data, right, you're gonna know if a register had died, right? So the connectivity is not coming through. Hey, register died, we need to go change out that meter. Next one is Mach 10 battery. If you were to ever go to a Mach 10 meter, which is ultrasonic metering, they'll give you the battery life remaining on that meter. Days of no flow, right? So if you are driving around on a monthly basis and then you see someone that popped up that's a resident that should have water flowing, maybe they stuck a straight bar in, right? You're capturing tamper, right? So you're able to see what people are not using water and how many days they haven't used it for. The next one is days of consumption. So how many days has someone been continuously using water, right? So it's monitoring your residents. High-low fail limits. Do you guys have any compound meters?
No,
No, okay.
high and low, I don't
School doesn't, right?
think so.
I don't think.
So it's set up in your billing. It's just setting limits for the two different register heads to make sure that everything is reading accurately. Found meters is more for an AMI system. So it's just what meters do I hear out there, right? And then you can kind of compare to what's being brought into your system. AMI no flow, that's again, the antennas being out there, no flow going through the meter. Inactive flow, do you know what that one is? Inactive
That's an
flow.
AMI.
Is that AMI? Okay, so that's AMI. High consumption, we talked about this. So this is the one that you're able to pick a date range. And then you can say how much more water have they used more on average, right? So the last 30 days, you can do a 90-day window, look at the last 30 days and say, hey, who has used 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times
And
more?
can we do that for a single customer?
Mhm.
Okay, because right now, the way that works, the way we are right now, if somebody feels that they're using too much water, we will send the readers out like on a weekly basis. So that's not a lot of time, but again, you have to send them out. And
This would be
then,
handy for that.
pardon me?
This would be handy for that.
Right, that's, yeah, that's.
Another, one of my favorite ones, which I wish more people would use, is soft disconnect. So why that's cool is you have a lot of snowbirds. If they notify you when they leave, you can put them on soft disconnect. And then if reading happens in that meter, when nobody's supposed to be there, you can actually notify them, hey, there's water running through your house right now, and you say you're in Florida.
And that's where we get
That's
a lot of
what, that's what
leaks.
happened that one.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to see that really easy, like, hey, this person's not supposed to be there, what's going on? Because
300 of those, don't we?
300.
400.
Well, the whole thing is they're supposed to call Ron to shut the thing off. But 90% of them got their own tools, right? And shut them off themselves. Okay.
You break it down.
yeah, supposed to. Right? The key words. So over on the left-hand side, let me jump back quick. So over on the left-hand side, this is something that would be used in your transition, which you might like, is comments and coded notes. So you can have, the guys can type in a note in there, like, hey, found meter was bad, I had a meter, they were home, changed meter, here's the new read, here's the stop read, enter. And you'll see that comment and see, you'll be able to change out that meter in your billing system while they're reading. So if you're off cycle read or something like that.
Which they do change a lot of meters while they're out there.
And this, you'd be able to have it almost like a system, so you could be able to see that happening. Code of notes, you know, dog couldn't get a reading, house burnt down. You know, I was scared of the dirt around the touchpad.
Thank you. I'm gonna show them. So this is a customer profile.
So this is another spot which is amazing. So basically, in our current reading system, you load your routes, you read them. The next time you read again, all your data and history is gone. It disappears out of our system. Now we hold data for 2 years. So now you're able to look back over the last 2 years to see somebody's raw usage. Now, how much they bill, just how much water they actually use. So you can look back and you can see here, all the way back to October of 22, every time you read, how much water went through that meter when you read it. So again, if you're reading your off cycle reads and you see this person, Ron's over there, he used 10,000 gallons in March, he's in Florida, you know what I mean? He's got either something going on or he has squatters. You know, I don't know if that happens up here or not, but
Yeah, the other thing too, right? You got comments right here.
Lori. Do we know how many gallons are used up at the tanks? At the pumping station per year, Ron?
Yes.
Most question?
I think so.
Take your boots off,
I said,
take your shoes off.
do we have any means of knowing how many gallons are pumped out of the tanks or to the tanks in a course of a year?
You do.
You do have a figure.
In that meeting, in that room. They have, it looks like a clock.
Okay,
And
it's called the chart recorder.
Right, exactly, every day.
okay.
That's why he'll call me one day and say, this time of year, we're using, 100,000 gallons too much, there might be a leak. And I've seen it.
So I guess my next
It's like,
question,
it's like that clock up there, but it's got a little grid in it.
okay.
It tells you how many gallons went through that.
So I guess my next question is to Lori. Have we ever taken the time to say, okay, we put out, just talking numbers, 500 million gallons of water through the course of the year. And we only build 400 million gallons.
We don't normally compare that, but we can.
You can't.
No, that is done. So that is a report that has to be filed with the state. So it's a water loss report. It is,
Exactly why I
That's-
asked.
yeah.
Meter mains.
yes. So that is something that is done. It is a water loss report.
And I'm gonna retract what I just said because now I remember him
Yes,
asking
sorry.
for the figure that we built.
Yeah, so there's, a certain percentage of what we see across the country, across the
Okay.
state. Amazing is less than 12%. New York, we're usually 35%.
that's used but not billed.
Correct. Unaccounted for water. He used that current key term earlier, and that's what this can help determine. Is that going through somebody's house and you're billing them for it? Or is it leaks in your system? Unaccounted for
Or
water.
they turn the meter around.
Or they turn the meter out. So we'll flag them, say, hey, your meter's turned around backwards. And then we'll calculate how much water we're bearing backwards. We'll tell you.
We've had that. Or they take it off for the winter and then put it on backwards.
So that's
I have to count that they took them and they left them. They went to Florida with it. I've seen all sorts of stuff.
So that's why we have that no flow report, right?
Yep.
So.
Now, wintertime situation on this, you've got to pull the bottom just to like,
Absolutely, yeah. And there's no difference in the meter. The
okay,
meter still has a frost plate on the bottom
Yeah.
for freezing. No difference there. Still a lifetime warranty on the bronze. We warranty all that stuff. With the meter like this, it's a 20-year warranty. And then this has a 20-year warranty as well.
How about your handheld devices? How they hold up to human abuse? Dropping, it's casual.
We threaten them with their lives and they won't open the door when they.
I mean, people
Yeah.
are people.
Gentle.
I get it. People are people. They drop things. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you set it on the car seat, you slide, and
Yeah.
out it goes.
well, we had a guy, we had a quick story. We had a guy have a reading system in the truck trap at the prison I worked at. He pulled the truck in, you set these sensors all on the rails. No one could get near the truck. They closed the doors and stepped back and would read. The guy goes, oh, these are indestructible. He's putting them in. I go, yep, you're at the right place to test those. Your prison guard will break it. 2 weeks later, 2 cords.
yeah.
He comes back and shakes his head. I told you. So
Real.
that's what I'm asking that.
No, real life story. A certain town of my account had it on the dash of the handheld unit, flew out the window at 35 miles an hour, bounced down the road, got ran over. And all it did was break the door, and they had to slide a new door, and 2 set screws were back up and running.
I'm sold.
So trust me, these are a
That's
lot.
pretty good.
But then again, I've had them breaking shipping, so I've seen it all.
So I think the one thing, right, Jason had touched on, they have a loaner pool at
Yes.
the office, so if one does break, send it down to the factory. You can get.
Put a
maintenance
package
plan.
together,
What?
see how much it's gonna
That's
cost
good, I
it
like
down.
that.
Well, so this is the tricky thing is, what type of thing would you wanna see? Cause it's like. Would you wanna see a transition? Do you wanna see it full force? Cause I mean, I will do bulk discounts, obviously. Go ahead, you had a question.
A thought I had, you brought up, do a zone, we're like people who are snowbirds.
Mhm.
And to use a lack of a better term, they go, they're not up here all the time. I was thinking maybe the places are known not to have places occupied all the time would be probably maybe a good place to start. I don't know.
So the tricky with snowbirds, obviously, is they're snowbirds, right? So they're not here in the winter. So I just finishing up a project, it's a private water system. Down on Saratoga Lake, so near Malta. So we're down there, it's a private water system, it's about 700 accounts. And now we're in the second year, we managed to did the installs there. So now we're in the second year of doing installs there and we're almost finished. It's taken that long for all these snowbirds to finally.
Well, another question, Ronnie, where are we having the most problems with flipped meters, taken meters, the shenanigans that goes on with meters? Is it, where are we having the most problems?
You wouldn't really know that.
Yeah, I would.
Wouldn't know that. I mean, where do you got to go to the most to turn them back around? That's pretty easy. Where do you got to go to the most? Where are you going to all the time to take care of a meter that people are messing with?
I mean, if
You
you're-
had what, 20-some?
For a while, we used to have a lot of people snowbirds that would take
There
them
we
out
go.
in the winter and then put them back in themselves and they put them backwards. Over the last few years, when the guys go back there, when I say, hey, their meter's backwards, they go in and they put paint on each end so they know. And that has really come down a lot.
Yeah,
We
guys,
used to
I'm
have
more, the
20,
most
30.
impact where we
They
can put them
change
is an
the
effect.
size on each side or it's both still the
No,
same?
it's still 7.5 inch lay length, same thread, same everything.
Okay.
I think we
the-
might have had 5 backwards meters this year compared to in the past 20 to 30.
Yeah.
So the people that are
It's
doing.
getting better all the time.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say, the people that are doing it are calculated, right? So you're probably not finding them, to be honest. Once you put these radios on, you're reading more frequently, you're gonna find them, and that's what I
Exactly.
see what
Yeah,
happens.
most of the stuff, to keep honest people honest. You know,
Yeah,
they really want to, they're gonna be able to find a way.
It's the rare, yeah, I want to reflect, I
can
think.
tell you a handful of ways,
Yeah,
not
you
on
always
the
catch
corner,
the-
how to steal it.
Well, we had a customer that, it kept having a zero read, then an error. So I said to the guys, you know, you gotta go look at this. Well, when they got there, they found that the meter was setting on the floor.
Yep.
And it was put together with a pipe.
Yes, yep,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
Interesting.
not uncommon,
Very
you know?
interesting.
yeah.
So there's a lot of different things that has come across and
That's
it's
when
crazy.
the water, you disconnect.
So, you know, as far as package money and stuff like that, you know, we have individual price, we have, and I typically for your guys' size, what I would do is pallet pricing. So basically, we have a certain amount that'll fit on a pallet, and then I do basically a pallet discount, because it saves me on shipping. So I pass that along.
How many on a pallet?
Depends on the meter. So there's 240 or 144 meters. There's 720 radios on the pallet. So I don't think that one is quite the ideal, but we put it with the meters. You know what I mean? Be 240 meter, 240 radios. Type of thing.
What's the difference between the two gizmos?
Cost to me.
Almost nothing. I think it's. a couple
Same
bucks.
durability, no problems, no issues, no.
No, I mean,
Oh,
this-
how's the one that plugs in? How's that handle lightning strikes or anything like that? Is there anything, no problems, no issues in the past?
No, I mean, really, no.
Okay.
The biggest issue with this is just the wires, which you guys have been managing and working with for years. That's the downfall of this one. The plus side to this one is it does transmit farther because it's outside the house.
Yeah.
That's why I like it better. I like it, anything that's outside. So you go 18 years down the road, you put a new meter in, you don't have to get back in the house, change that radio.
I like that better.
Some prematurely fails, it happens, it's a mechanical device, it's an electronic device, it's man-made, it's gonna happen. You know, one of these fails prematurely, you don't have to get back in the house, you don't have to make an appointment.
Which helps
Just
us
let them
better
know.
because we have a lot of summer residents and you
Right.
gotta wait till what? It's 4 months till they come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and so the plus side is the meter that you guys are currently using, which is designed like this. This is the head that you guys are currently using,
Yep,
this is battery free.
right.
So there's no battery in it regardless, so the only battery is outside,
So basically,
There
it's
is a battery in there.
and there's a battery.
yeah, it's unpowered and it just, the transmitter sends out and says, here I am, this is the information I have, and it only has energy when it gets energized by the transmitter.
There's a capacitor in it, so it's a lithium battery, right, 3.6. It takes a charge, the capacitor takes a charge off of it and transmits, whether it's every 14 seconds or the 7.5.
So what's the
watt
life of the
hours.
battery?
It's 20 years.
20 years.
So surprisingly or not, the battery time on it, right? So the transmission, so over the 20 years, it's only using 5 days worth of battery.
And this is the black one that goes on the meter itself,
No.
goes on the valve,
No,
or the
it's
white
not.
one? How's the white one handle, how's the battery in that one handle the cold weather?
Actually,
20 below.
Better.
Really?
So back in the day, they had test sites when it was originally Toronto and Arizona,
Okay,
and Toronto outperformed Arizona.
that's good
So
comparison.
they're potted, so everything's potted.
Yeah,
and
it's-
sealed.
No problems in Maine, you ever been up in there
Nope.
doing nothing?
I have these in Plattsburgh. Northern Maine has them.
Caribou,
Good, okay.
Preston.
Caribou,
All right,
Maine has.
There you go. That's all you need to hear right there.
I couldn't get much hotter than,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah.
I think that pallet quantity on a price makes sense for us.
I was
to
by
get a
both.
starting point. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I can
Well, if
absolutely,
you're talking about 1,000 people, you know,
So that would be a 10% or so.
yeah,
No, I always thought.
unless you go to,
Which
unless you
water
go to the
district-
250.
Which water district has the
So it's
most?
$5, we'll do the whole town.
That's right.
what's that?
If it's only $5. we'll do the whole
Absolutely.
You can also start with,
$5 a day for eternity.
so say they're the ones with the highest bills, you could also do water district, what, number 2 first, because they're the ones that are paying the most, and give them a little bit of break here, maybe they don't have to pay, so, I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking.
The only
the
thing
next
Who would
with,
benefit the most from it?
the only thing with SW2 is, we get charged a minimum charge from Horn,
Corn, correct.
and it's up there.
Okay,
So I'm not
So-
sure it would be advantageous in that district.
okay.
That's something you guys can certainly look at, but I just want to let.
Yeah, because that has its own interconnect meter that you get billed off from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no meters on the homes down there,
Oh, there is no meters there.
Not on the houses.
not on the house.
All they do is bill us off the main.
The master meter that comes under the bridge.
And that's where
So do you just bill them evenly for whatever that is?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Would the plan be to put meters in there to bill them accordingly?
I don't know that would get any cheaper,
we talked about it
I
in
don't know.
regards to finding out the cost of the meters to put them on those houses down there. That would also give us an indication in regards to what we've discussed on and off in my situation the last 4 years
You're on that. problem.
about putting up
No.
a pumping station and taking care of the Hudson Grove area. Okay,
So Hudson Grove, so you bill off in the meter, you bill, like if there's 60 people, you just divide the usage by
no, it's
60.
a flat rate.
We get charged a flat rate per hookup from
Okay.
Florence.
I see what you're saying.
But then depending on how many gallons comes through, and I don't know what the minimum amount can be, or the maximum amount, I should say, can be, that might be Colleen, she would maybe know that. We may get charged extra for gallons. She knows exactly how that billing works.
Our biggest
but-
problem down in that area that I can see. You got a number of swimming pools down there, they got the greenest grass in town, because they only get charged a blank amount. It's a lot higher than.
This is my point.
Yeah.
This is my point when you
That's right.
mention it. There's gotta be
So that,
monitor
the
that.
only downside is that's gonna be your most expensive, because they currently don't have meters.
Water.
But there's only 110 maybe
Yeah,
down there.
But AW1, we charge $125 for the first 65,000 gallons. They're getting charged 500 and what for the year? We're charging $150 now. That's the difference.
But that's not gonna go down because we're paying them
I know.
minimum charge. now.
I know.
How do you look at it? You pay them or you pay it through?
The only difference you
So I
might,
disagree.
Just separate between the neighbors.
Yeah,
what you might get is like summer people that are there that aren't there using their.
it doesn't
water.
matter. In my eyes, if the person lives there in the summer or lives there year round, that water main is going out in front of their house.
Right.
Okay, the water has to be paid for, the maintenance on that water main's gotta be paid for. Either, that's the way it is, it's every town in the world that pays for sewers, waters, and anything else. If it's out in front of your house, you're gonna pay for it.
That's true.
The only extra charge they get down there is if somebody has a pool, 35.
That's correct.
That's it.
And here it is, right in here. It's a thing that's gotta be spread out to all the taxpayers in the town.
Is there a way for a resident to look at their own reading?
So there is, we have a system called My360. So My360 would be a customer portal where they'll be able to log in, they'd be able to see it. It's a cost per account.
Excuse me.
You just, every person gets charged and you can pass it along to the homeowner.
So the thing with the customer portal, right, the data is only as good as much data you're getting, right? So if you're reading once a year, you know, or even twice a year, 4 times a year, they're gonna only see that data. But if you have a cellular endpoint for certain customers, they can, you know,
Yeah,
have
so-
access to it.
You know, when we're looking at all that data, all that is exportable. So if you're looking to say, hey, I did a data log at somebody's house, you can export that and you can email that over to them. So it's not like stuck in our computer system. So if somebody is like wanted to see that, they can absolutely do that. And then people start to abuse it, and then you gotta find out a way to charge for data logging, because then they want it data logged every single 90 days.
Yeah.
Get us some prices.
Yeah, you know, so I put together a bunch of different things when I did it. I mean, I don't mind showing you guys. I did it already. Cause I was,
Frankly, I'd rather,
you trim down.
no, I'd rather see it on a piece of paper.
Yeah. What is that?
Sure, I'll email it over and you can dispense
Yeah,
it out.
email it, you have my email.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to like Ronnie and everything, we're gonna have to figure out what works. So, you know, there's a lot of
Might
discussion
be a good
down there
idea.
that has to happen. You guys know more about it. You
Yeah.
guys, you know what's going on. You guys know what's going on.
So what I'll do is
Figure
I'll
out-
provide the numbers, what your real numbers will be today for meters and what your real numbers will be for radios. So that way you have it. So we'll do, and I'll give you the number for the integrated. I'll do 5/8, the residential, and then the 1 inch, because I think you do have some.
We do
1 inch.
have a few, don't we, that are 1 inch?
And at residence, right? I believe for the ones that are farther off or something, or,
We have a couple of 1 inch and then we got a couple that are inch and a half,
okay.
so
So what I'll do is I'll really just focus on the residential. Those can be retrofitted and we can save some costs and find ways to save money on some of those commercial accounts, so you wouldn't have to invest.
They aren't necessarily commercial though, right?
No.
Oh, the residential?
Yeah.
A couple.
Inch and a half residential, nice.
They got big pools.
But yeah, I can throw all of them in there. I can do up to 2 inch. If that, I can do that. That's not a problem. So you can see it. So you'll have the radio price, and you'll have the meter pricing for that part. I'll do the software costs. And then I'll do both reading devices.
Yeah.
So that way you have both, so you can see the price difference. So, I don't have any other questions. I mean,
Is there software on the other end?
yes, there's
And how-
reading. Yep, that's what we were showing you, the Neptune 360 software.
Yeah.
Yep.
How often does that have to get updated?
So that is always updating. So it's now what we call an annual fee. So basically it's every year you pay X amount of dollars for the software. So the legacy style was we had a maintenance fee. So basically you'd have to pay maintenance on it in order to get upgrades. Now the upgrades just happen. You'll get an email notification. It upgrades while you're sleeping and you come in the next day and it's all updated.
We do it 4 times a year, so it's on a quarterly basis. It's usually from 12 to 4.
It's always at the worst time.
So like when we first started out with the software, we only had like 5 reports and now we have like 12 reports. So as we develop new, reports and, we actually listen to you guys too. So we have 100 developers down in Atlanta that have developed this software. So as you guys, maybe you have a request that's something that you want to see or a certain report that you'd like to integrate with software, we can do that. We test it and then we blast it out to everybody.
Okay, so the price that you're gonna give us would be for everything, including.
Yep.
The annual fee,
Yeah.
yeah. So we will, because billing has to integrate with this.
We
So-
have to have a separate software for our bill.
Yeah, so there's billing software and then there's the reading software. So we will integrate with that. Work that has to be done there and get that to work with this software
Who does the installation?
of the software. We do,
How about that stuff?
yes,
You
I have
do-
that cost as well.
So you do all installations?
We can do all the installation, we can manage a whole project if you want to do full project.
Okay.
So that is really not done in phases though, that would, because the cost would go up a little bit. So I did it as like a full deployment cost. You have that, and us managing it, us handling it. And all you gotta do is make sure your check's clear.
Looking at you.
Me, I don't write the checks. I put them in the computer. that's-
Hey, I laugh.
I looked over.
Deflecting the gland.
So, yes, we do all that. Like I said, we just finished that up locally. I'm currently doing about 5 of those currently. Where it's supply and install basically. So we'll do the product, we'll manage the project, we'll do the installs.
What sort of timeline would make sense? In other words, it's gonna take X number of weeks if we pull a trigger. And timing for you is a big issue, because the building and meter reading, right?
Yeah.
Well, you also got the other problem is the snowbirds are getting ready to leave in another
But we
month or
can
so.
also continue using our other software while it's happening. She already told me that. There was.
Again, your
something else.
touchpads go into the new software too, right? So,
So, yeah, so timing's not that good.
yeah, it's not simple. It's just,
In the software that I gave you from Edmunds for the upgraded billing system, we have to have that for that to work. Is that correct?
Yes,
So that's why I
yeah,
also brought that to you, but also they're telling me within 1 to 2 years, we're not gonna have support on the system we have now.
yeah,
So
currently,
either way, you're gonna have to do.
Either way, something's gonna
so
happen.
the current software was built off of a
we're
program.
talking about the billing software.
Oh, billing software?
Yeah, so the billing software they currently have, there's one person that supports it.
Yeah,
And getting a hold of him is,
and they're gonna get rid of that in the next 1 to 2 years. So eventually we're gonna have to upgrade to this other system.
and so yes, we'll integrate perfectly. We worked with the company, Evans is the name, right? So we've worked with them in plenty of other places, so We
So
have,
about when do you think we'll get some numbers from you?
technically I haven't done, so I'm just gonna trim off what I don't have and I'll email it over to you.
Great.
Do you
By
take
end of
credit
week.
cards?
Excuse me?
Just take credit cards?
Absolutely.
No, Gene.
Put it right on
You know,
yours,
what
Chief.
I've had other people do, I've had 2 accounts the last couple of years do, is they have taken out a lease to own. So basically, so it's not a bond, doesn't go get your bond rating, and basically you take out a loan, you pay it, and then you pay it back over the term of like 7 years.
We've seen other things too. So you ever heard of
I've
BABA?
seen all sorts of different things happen.
You ever heard of BABA, Build America, Buy America? So our products qualify for that. So since we have a foundry right in Alabama, we just had a couple projects in over in Mass and Connecticut that funded most of their project through BABA by being able to, acquire that. So something to look into.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I
thank you
really
for
appreciate it.
that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
informative.
Thank you.
So
Very
email
informative.
that to me, Jason, and
Absolutely.
I'll get that over to the board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I have done, I just want to trim off the
Okay.
stuff that doesn't pertain to you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, hey.
Let's see, we don't need you for much of anything else.
So I'm done because I was talking about myself.
Don't you dare. You aren't leaving here.
No, I mean,
Here.
that's one thing off.
I never said I wanted to.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we-
Yeah, drive safe,
Take
guys.
care, guys.
Leave any of those parts you want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
I did think once, you're basically-
I didn't.
Is it?
Hey, you're the new one. Down the basement.
Okay.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night, guys.
Do you need to change the tape again or anything while we're up?
All right, come on. Let's get back in, let's get this over.
You're like,
No more, right? So like, we're just done.
Did you want to leave? Because everybody thinks
You
the
can,
stuff's coming up, we don't need you if you go.
Just after those 2 things.
And you might as well stay.
all right. All right, the next one we have is a discussion on Humana, but Lori said that Colleen told me not to move forward with this until next week.
You don't have to have a resolution
Resolution.
tonight to
Okay.
renew the policy. She
That's
said
that
she needs
Humana
it
one.
by the 15th. So we'd have to do something at the next meeting.
Okay. so
okay,
we can-
fine, sounds good,
we
sounds
can
good.
Move that over.
Yep.
And the discussion on the employee health insurance.
I think we gotta have a meeting on that.
Thank you, I agree. We should all discuss it.
There's too much going, there's too much going on there.
The only thing that,
One of them's
you-
changing, right?
huh?
It's
What?
changing.
Well, you all got an email on that,
Mhm.
changed yesterday or the day before. That I had asked personally to the lady that came in, Betty, and will you cover our retirees?
Early
She said
retired.
yes. And then I called about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, right, Lori, something like that? And they said yes, and then yesterday or day before, we got an email, they will cover our retirees, but not spouses.
On early retirees that can't.
Yeah, or early retirees.
So like if I'm 65 and I retire and I can go to Humana, but my husband is younger than I and he's not old enough to go to Humana, then you have to buy Cobra for him.
Yeah.
They won't cover it.
That's why.
But if we stay with MVP,
County.
They
get into
cover
it
it.
Because every
Right.
town is something different,
if we stay with the MVP, they're covered.
right?
For early retirees.
Yeah,
All right,
but why don't we set up a meeting just for that insurance?
Yeah, get the quotes updated.
okay.
So you want a workshop on insurance
Yeah.
or you're gonna do it at the next meeting?
No,
no.
so
Okay, so when do you want to do a workshop?
can we do it like an hour before the next meeting? Is that-
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, yeah.
6 PM on, what is it?
5:36 or something like that. Huh?
I'd rather do that than another night.
Yeah. Let's
Andy, how
I'm
you
good.
feel About that.
I'm good.
On
Six
September
P.M.,
11th?
yeah, that's fine. 6 P.M. on what date's the date?
September 11th.
Yes.
Oh,
6 PM.
can't make that meeting too long. Let's just play golf.
Here you go.
I'm not.
September 11th.
September 8th,
Ha.
not for you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all right.
Chris, is there anybody on Zoom?
I never see it, just have joy. You're like,
All right, let's move. The other thing we had in there, that USDA loan that we've been discussing for a month or so, for the roads, for water equipment, software, I mean, all this stuff, you're gonna see what this stuff's gonna cost us. Really high.
Yeah,
So, so let's leave
what's
that.
Ronnie's figures come up with?
Yeah, he's got,
Can we have those numbers sometime soon, Ron, or is that a secret?
I got some numbers right here tonight.
all right, hold on a minute. Let's go through this, rest of this.
Well, we
Lori,
can pass them out, we can study them. Or put them in our mailboxes or something. You can mail.
I'll get them into your mailbox. I got them late, so I couldn't take off copies.
Okay.
all right, Lori, you got this deputy town clerk.
Yeah, so we just talked about the water meter stuff and the software. But also I gave you copies of the same stuff I gave you a couple months ago. For modules for taxes to collect credit cards. They can pay online, they can come in here and pay, they can call and pay over the phone. And if we do the new water program, billing program, we will be able to do credit cards with that as well, all off of that same system. And
What's the bottom line, Lori?
you have it right in your hands. It's around 8,700 for the water, first time charge. That's to do the conversion and everything. And it takes a few months to do. They do it all and set us all up.
Yeah,
Originally, I had also given you the dog portal. We don't license enough dogs to make that worthwhile for them to be able to do it online. They can call and do it over the phone. I'll do it on, over the phone. So that saved about, I don't know, $1,200 not doing that. So,
I talked to bookkeeper, person, friend of mine. And she said it really didn't make an awful big difference in her office, but it was convenient for the public. How do you feel about that?
we have a lot of people that ask about it. We do have a lot of people that ask about it. I don't know, I mean, you might get some of the people in Hudson Grove with that high water bill. You might get a lot less re-levies, collect that money timely because they could put it on a credit card. I don't know that for a fact. I just think it
But in
might.
your office, the impression I got from her, in her office, was it didn't save the bookkeeping department.
It doesn't. It would be another step of reconciliation, which I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. We're here to serve the people too, but it's up to you guys. But we do get a lot of people that want to pay online and pay over the phone. And I'll tell you, we probably get, I would say 100 or more people that come through the door and say, are you guys collecting credit cards yet? And we say, no, no, no. So we get a lot of.
In the course of a year, Lori, roughly, how many people don't pay their water bill? Well, just an idea. 100, 200?
Let me think. Yeah, and SW1's higher. You probably have, about $30,000 worth. In SW2, it's about 18 to 25,000. You gotta remember, even though there's less people, their bills are a lot higher that have to get re-levied. So that money is up higher. But I mean, everything's moving to technology more and more all the time and.
That's 60 people down there in the SW2 aren't paying their bill at $500 if you're saying $30,000 a year.
Thereabouts, yep, 25 to 30,000 somewhere.
And you're only talking 110 to 115 people down in that area. So that's 50% of the people down in that area that don't pay their bill.
Close to it sometimes. It fluctuates too. It depends on the year, it's not.
Oh, I'm
always
not
the
just,
same. But it typically are the same customers,
yeah.
typically.
Can I put you on the spot?
You can try.
Do you think we ought to do it?
Credit cards?
Yeah.
Um,
You're the front.
I
It's your
personally-
face and your voice you talk to.
I personally like to serve the people as much as we possibly can. It would be convenient for some people who don't have the cash. That want to pay their bill, that
So-
don't want to pay a penalty.
Our cash flow would probably be a little.
I
better.
think it would increase a little bit. I'm not gonna say that it'll increase a lot.
One time, annual fee, $3,500.
I don't know.
This is what you're talking about, credit
Yeah.
card. Do we have any other, did you go see any other companies for credit cards?
$2,400.
That's not the credit card charge. The gizmo for the credit card is only
No,
hundred
but
and a
to
quarter.
get another company to come in with another price.
We can try, but then that would be changing everything.
So.
This is just a module to go on our software now.
So am I looking at this correctly, Larry? We're starting off with approximately $8,500.
That's water.
Yeah. Okay, so we got $8,500 there, and then we've got X amount of yearly charges
Yeah.
and no charges. But I don't have an amount on what those charges all total up to be.
Cause
I'm-
it's
I'm a
separate
s-
charges. It says first year initial.
Yeah, it says,
And then it will say
WIPP
yearly.
utility 3-year,
First-
$950. I don't
first
know what
page, First page.
that stands for.
There you go.
So right here. Year one investment, this is taxes. Year one investment is 2,700.
Yeah.
And the licensing is 2,100, a one-time fee.
Mm-hmm,
Then the maintenance is 600 a year.
okay. So we add those three together for the first year.
No, this is the initial. I think this might all be, I'd have to ask. You might be right on that.
All right, can we bring this over to that?
No, here. See, right here. Software service license, 2,100.
Yeah.
It's that number.
Okay, that's that.
That's up here. So the first year is 2,700 includes. this.
Yeah. This-
Okay.
this-
Okay.
this.
The water is right here,
85,
84.75.
yeah,
So you got your software subscription, the implementation, it takes,
Yeah.
they said anywheres from 6 to 9 months
okay.
to get us for the number of people we
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah.
This from me, this.
The conversion service is part of that also. And then the hardware is the credit card thing we'll
The
have
swiper.
here at the counter
Yeah,
for people that
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah.
Again, we can use that for DEC, we can use it for clerk stuff.
You
you
holler
know,
at me, you got kids to work.
Vendor permits, et cetera, anything we collect money for.
okay. So we're up to $10,000. This is,
Yeah,
an
so
annual-
this is already,
that's the breakdown then. Okay, so we're looking at $10,000.
and again, what
No, I
you have to
didn't-
remember is if you're gonna go with
It looks like money.
the radio read stuff, we have to do the water program at minimum.
So this
Now, how much-
84.75
We
won't
make any
be
money
added
on
to
this?
his.
84.75 is a separate company, it's our software.
Okay.
Now, my next question is, how much are we making off the
just-
credit card company?
We will not make a dime off of them and it will not cost us anything. The taxpayer will pay the credit card fee,
And we make no money on it?
not on the credit card fee, we don't.
I take credit cards in my company, my business every day, and we make a few bucks on
The
it.
device is in place
No.
for everything.
It's not set
They
up
don't
like
pay.
that because it's a municipality.
So I admit-
It doesn't cost us anything and we don't,
But you gotta put out
Put a reader on your phone.
this
You'll
80,000,
get
8,000
for water,
for water. What is it for the credit card?
125 for the gizmo that goes with it to do, to be able to take the credit cards.
And that's it?
300, 400.
$25, we don't pay any more,
What you get.
and don't get any back.
Part-time
Right.
job.
I'm going to Florida.
That every year, Lori? Once a year?
If they
No,
give me
it's
10%, I go
it's
to Hawaii.
for the gizmo itself.
You gotta talk to me about this.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with one thing on here. so.
Well, I've had to ask them to remove that several times and they haven't, but they will.
10,000.
Karen do hers next.
Okay, Karen, go ahead.
Okay, I just have one thing that, looking for a resolution at the, and Jean, this is for you. This came through late today. I got it when I came in tonight. And I will distribute it to the balance of the board. This is from John Krinsky, Chairman of the Planning Board. On August 23rd, 23, the planning board voted unanimously passing a resolution asking the town board to consider adding another alternate on the planning board. Over the past year or more, we have not had a full sitting board, even with the alternate now being used. We are entering a period in which several major subdivisions are being brought to our board. This hasn't happened but once in the 18 years that I've been part of the board. Lately, we've had only the minimum of 4 seated to conduct business. By adding the alternate now, it would give us the possibility of adding more input into these important decisions. So they're asking you, right now, we currently have 1 alternate. They are asking you to set up a second alternate. At the last meeting, we almost had to cancel because we only had, it's a 7-member board. And at like 5 after 7, we only had 3. Finally, the
All right.
4th one.
Can we
showed
bring this up in our 2 weeks? We'll
Yeah.
pass a resolution. I think the board all
That's-
agrees.
I'll split that.
That's-
Just put that resolution together. The
Okay.
board all agrees.
I don't think it'll have much to say.
No, I don't think we're gonna have much, but we need it. One's well, yeah, I'm good with it.
Ron, did he say, Ron, wake up, wake up.
Sorry,
Could you just give them some numbers on that road that you got?
yeah, I got
And
2
then-
companies, Peckham's, to come in.
Wait, listen to this guy. Come on.
They are about 799,000. That is Howe Road, Thomas Road, Potash Road. With Howe Road being a full depth, tear out the road and from there.
That's 800,000.
Good night, Mary.
Good night, Mary.
Plenty was 744,000, so there's a difference of 50,000. There is some things that I still gotta do and will do. Like brush cutting and to keep some of the price down. On Howe Road, we can change those pipes out, culvert pipes. There's only like 4 of them. That'll take us a week.
So you got the figures down from 1.3 million down to 700,000?
800.
No, the other numbers I had, I
You've got other
never,
roads.
I never had a total. That's a total of what he wants to borrow. Or at least a number.
No,
This is.
he had other roads included in
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's not a short list.
Yeah.
So. I'll put these in.
Get them out to the,
boxes.
yeah, get them out, give them to Colleen. She'll email
Yeah.
them so they don't have to wait in the box. And then we'll talk about that also at that hour before the next meeting, because we gotta do something. It's gonna start getting time to. We gotta do these roads. All right, what do we got here?
I'll make a motion. We agreed to let them have the cardboard race.
I'll second.
Okay, that's right. That's next in here. All right.
All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried.
All right, so we only talked about one resolution.
I have one.
You have one, another one?
You're in.
I'm ready.
I would like the board to consider and discuss, maybe have a resolution ready if we're ready. Resetting up the deputy supervisor position.
With discussion.
This one, I'm just asking for. Have the resolution ready. It's fine with me to discuss it anytime we want, including tonight.
Is there a reason why you feel that has to be implemented?
There's 2 or 3. One is that, is there anybody on there?
Yeah.
I think it's would be in agreement. I spent quite a bit of time with this. I take this responsibility extremely seriously. I probably put 20 hours a week. Reading, digging, commenting, stopping over at the town hall.
Nobody's disagreeing with that.
Yeah, that's not.
All that kind of stuff.
The only thing
So,
is,
so for me, it's an attaboy. It's an ego thing. It's getting recognized for a significant input.
the problem is the board.
I got
Okay.
others too. okay?
Go ahead.
Um,
Plant need water every now and then?
yeah, Yeah. Gene is requesting that he gets some additional help. And I don't, do you want to expand on that or?
Well, I just feel I have the right by law to have a deputy that can help me out and carry through on some of the things. And I asked 3-4 months ago and I got turned down. And I think it's about time we get deputy back in on this board.
One of the things that makes me. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of 60-40 in favor of it. I'm not 100% sold on the idea, but one of the things that Gene relies on me a little bit for informally is when he gets somebody in here and he needs to have a meeting, just so he has another pair of ears to hear stuff that's being said, so it's not misconstrued. For example, today we had a 2-hour meeting with Ron,
Logan
and Jeff.
and Jeff and Ellis.
Yeah, on the water, like who's doing what, who's not doing what, getting licenses and that stuff. So I don't know, probably once or twice a month I attend a meeting. Really just for the purpose of making sure what's said is what's. Making sure what was recalled to be said is what's said. So that's part of it.
So that's like a stenographer? I mean, that's what I'm getting, I mean, you need something. I mean, just personally, I don't believe that's enough reason. Just for someone else, I want you to sit next to me. It's gotta be bigger than that. It's taxpayer. People gotta understand what's going on here. I believe you're gonna do that. I'd like to see a proof of a need for it. I mean. That's all I'm saying. I know you do a lot of work. But, and we all appreciate it. But. I'm just, where the need to do it. And.
So you got the need, but you also got the situation that the board does not put that person in that position. Gene is the one that puts that person in that
That's right.
That's
position.
my right by law.
I know it is,
That's my right by law, and I'm asking for my right to have a deputy.
and I'm not disagreeing with you,
It'll be my choice to have.
and
a
it will be
deputy.
your choice.
Yes.
That's correct.
And who would your choice be?
I will not answer that until you.
Well, then we need to know who, I'd like to know who it is
Well,
before I say yes.
the law doesn't say I should tell
I
you
understand
who it
that.
is.
I understand
The
that.
law says I shouldn't tell you. I have the right
I
to have a
understand that.
deputy.
But as a town councilman, to answer to the people that vote in this town who want an answer, well, who's gonna be? I don't know. Well, why'd you vote yes? And I'm, well, I don't know. There's nothing, I don't know going on in the world.
Yep.
So if you have somebody in mind, if it is in fact Jim by name, I don't have a problem with it because at least you've got to have interviews. You have an interview who wants to work for the town, someone who wants to ride the garbage truck. We have someone come in here and have an interview.
Yeah, but for
We
a
just want to
deputy,
pull everybody out of the air and just start saying,
for
let's
a
let's
deputy,
sit someone
I
down.
could put my uncle on. That's the
That's
law.
what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm a little afraid of. I like,
I don't
I'd
have
like to have
enough
somebody
for
who's on at least the town board to help out, who's up to speed in what's going on. If I want to sit here in the town board and get some of the authority to sit there and look over a meeting, I want to know who it is.
Yep.
That's just the way I am. And that's the way I was raised. I mean, that's just me. It's nothing personal. It's just that I owe answers to people because people ask me questions all the time and I don't like going, I don't know. Well, who? I don't know. Why'd you say yes? I don't know. Because I look like a fool. And I know that's your right. I appreciate it. I respect that. But I also request, I'd like to know who it is. That's all. I'm not, Gene, I'm not, with all due respect for your position. I answered that way, and it's
No.
nothing against you. It's just that
I've been
I
on this
owe it
board
to,
for
I owe
18
it,
years,
I understand
and
that,
I've
but
been on
I
it in the
I get it.
90s, nobody was ever asked to tell who. It's the law.
well,
It's
I'm
my
asking,
choice.
well, now you got your first person. There we go. And I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but I owe people an explanation. If I say yes, who is it? What, the Ghost Rider? Who's gonna come in here? Scooby-Doo and Shaggy? I don't know. I want to know who it is. I want to know who's gonna be in charge of running the business of the town I grew up in. Period.
especially if you are incapacitated. And that person has to take over your duties.
Exactly. We owe that to the people. Okay, you can technically say, I don't have to, but is that the right answer?
No,
There's
it's
a
not
lot of
correct.
things I could have
It's just
done in my life.
My respect for myself.
I
I
understand.
got how beat up on that shit.
I know you did. I didn't beat you
Okay,
up.
All
I
right,
didn't beat you
so,
up.
hold on.
and everything is the same old garbage.
It's not the same garbage. I just have. a
I'm
request. I'd
gonna
like to know
help
who
shorten
you
this
will say
discussion.
it is.
I'm withdrawing my request.
And if you say it's him, I'm fine with that. Because at least you're saying.
What's
who it is.
happening
At least I
right
know
now
who
is
it is.
exactly what I don't want to happen, which is this
Right.
dissension.
exactly.
So forget it.
Do you think I put somebody on that you guys wouldn't live with? You have very little respect
All
for
I
me
want to
then.
know, all I want to know is who it is. Who is it? Who's applying for the job, Gene? It's that simple.
Nobody's applying. It's somebody I'm asking for.
Who? This is not be seat night. This is crazy. The stuff in this town that people come up and go, what's going on? I'm trying to tell him, well, he wants to fix it. Who is it? I don't have an answer. I look like a fool. These people don't understand the game.
Nobody wants to.
Who is it?
People asking you that, nobody
I have
wants to
no-
know I'm gonna do it.
Gene, I have no problem if you need help, but I just want to know who it is. That's all.
I am withdrawing the idea that we bring that up.
No, I don't want you to.
Yeah.
I want
The reason
to answer the question.
Oh, hold on. The
I
reason
don't think I have to do it, but I'm gonna answer the question.
Okay.
I want Jim Niles.
Okay. thank you for
Period.
that.
End of subject.
Thank you for that.
The
It wasn't that
reason-
hard, was
The
it?
reason I waited so long to do this. I
Pull a teeth over here. That's your question.
Screw me up here big time.
No, just collect yourself.
Have to change this in about 1 minute.
No, don't change it. We're finished.
Are we finished?
Yeah, right?
No,
No, no, well, you gotta ask us.
resolutions for the September meeting.
You got resolutions
We
there?
have to
Oh, I didn't see
set
it.
them up for the September meeting.
All right. Go ahead.
I gotta wait.
I got something to say,
Hold on.
but it doesn't need to be on a meeting. It's on the other side.
Johnny,
Are we still on YouTube?
Not recording the audios.
Hold on.
The disc.
We can go into an executive session.
That's not that
if it's a
important.
Personnel issue.
No.
Okay.
It's not a personnel.
Okay.
It's a personal issue. Next meeting I will be here,
Mhm.
but the next agenda meeting. I've had reservations for a cruise for the last year and a half, and I really
Good for
didn't want to
you.
give it up.
Say goodbye.
Why, what are your priorities?
That's not a problem.
Well, I did have several children of mine offer to take my place, but I didn't want to give that up yet.
She told me where she's going. Going to last.
Alaska.
Yeah, we're not going, I'm not going until next year.
But it's gonna be the next agenda meeting.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we celebrate
It's
50
Chris
years
probably
next year.
for time.
Okay, good.
You got 50 coming up?
50 years. Next September. In 2 weeks, I got 49 with her.
I beat
I'm
you
ready
to
to
it.
roll tape.
I've already done 50.
Have you?
Right?
You're ahead of me. Sorry,
Okay, we're,
Recently?
May.
May.
Congrats.
we're on.
You're on? All right, go ahead with your resolutions.
Okay, so we'll need for September 11th, a resolution to pay the bills of the 9th abstract. A resolution to accept minutes, a resolution to set up the public hearing. She did not bring that up on the ordinance. So I don't know if we'll
Set
do
it
that
up.
or not. But I'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah, we can always cross it
Right.
off or table it or whatever.
A resolution to renew the Humana retiree policy. The resolution to appoint 2 alternates to the planning board, right?
Right.
Okay.
Just,
Go ahead.
well, there, we need to have 2 alternates. We've already got one.
So to add an
Got the new
alternate.
one.
Okay.
We need to add one more.
To
alternate.
have 2 alternates, okay.
Resolution for the bank. Borrow money.
The USDA,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Ron can pay it back.
Stick it out of the state.
Gene, do you have any other resolutions?
I'm done.
Okay. I think that's it. That's all I have anyway.
Lori, can I ask a huge favor? And I know you guys are swamped. Is there any way you could get that to us like on Wednesday or Thursday?
Um,
Friday?
that's tough because stuff comes in right to the Friday morning.
Even Thursday night.
If you can.
If you guys want to set a deadline, by all means, set it.
Well, there
I'm
was,
fine with that.
I don't.
2 years
I don't
ago,
want to be that form.
well, 2 years ago, there was a deadline put
There,
in the minutes. But we,
yeah,
you know,
guys did that when you were, I'm not gonna say. anything,
Right.
But if you want to set a deadline, that's fine. But that will mean that Mary, which I'll have to talk to her, somebody will, anything she has got to get to me
Yeah.
before the deadline. And sometimes and most of the time, we're waiting on attorneys and things like that. I mean, it's up to you guys, whatever you guys.
How about we
wanna
say,
do.
we gotta try by Thursday night. We're gonna try. We're gonna have
Try.
another lady in the office to cut down on some of the, what's piling up. And,
Well, our phones
That could
and
help.
our walk-in, I mean. You all might not realize how busy our office really is, because you're not in there enough to see that. So I could say to you, yes, I'll have it to you Thursday. But it might be Friday morning on
Yeah.
a certain month, but I'll do my best if you want it Thursday afternoon.
I get my best thoughts.
But the other thing too is, we
like
don't.
that.
Yeah, we don't do the bills. There's not a cutoff early enough on the bills either. So, which if we cut the bills off too early, then you run into
No.
being late in the service fee and this and that.
I'm not saying necessarily send it off to Jamie on Thursday. But maybe hold that like you've been until Friday. But if you get it,
In case you want to put something else on it,
yeah,
okay. I
It's
can
not a
do
bad
that,
idea.
but I kind of like to do it all in one email, so I cover everybody and I don't miss anybody.
you don't have to do it twice.
But if you guys want to set a deadline for Thursday afternoon, 4 o'clock. I will do it.
let's try.
Okay.
Okay, if it doesn't work out, okay. You got until 5 o'clock.
I leave at 4. Bye. I'll try. I mean,
Thank you.
hopefully,
Well, just like the other day, okay. It was
Make a motion adjourn.
2 o'clock, I happened to be in, you were able to give me it,
yes.
okay,
But that doesn't happen a lot.
No.
To be honest with you,
okay.
yeah.
But I was very thankful, because if you notice, I try to stop in on Fridays to pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay, at the same time, over the course of the years. That only gives us a couple hours on Friday afternoon to get information if we need to get ready for Monday. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like I talked to Colleen 3 times today about the insurance for the employees to get those figures I put together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I will shoot for Thursday afternoons at 4 o'clock. All I can say.
Good. Can't ask much better.
well, you know, look, make it, when I think it'll work, we don't need to vote, have you right in there on that Thursday about voting for the bills and all that stuff, because
Well, that's part of the agenda though.
I know, but that part could be added Friday for the final one. of that.
It'll get too confusing if you start doing too many agendas and sending it out at too many different times. It will get confusing.
Yeah. Thank you.
It really will.
Hold on
So-
one second.
So we'll try for Thursdays by 4.
Colleen gave me a couple numbers today on that, us paying the deducts, health insurance.
Yeah.
deducts. Looks like we're gonna save about 30%. A year, which is $18,000 or $19,000. If I take the number we pay per month, extrapolate that out for the rest of the 4 months, we're gonna save something like $18,000.
Well, if you pull the figures out between MVP Gold and MVP HMO,
I'm just talking about our. She calls it the HRA.
yeah,
The,
I'm just saying, we're saving $26,000.
Not for the HRA.
Not for the HRA, I'm talking for the difference
I'm just
between.
talking the HRA.
Oh,
So it's working. We set aside 64 grand, it's gonna cost us like 46 grand.
We also could have a carryover from last year or this year.
Well, not really.
Yeah,
What it is, we don't have to spend as much, so it's not like there's gonna,
I know.
not a pot that we can pull back. It's probably in the budget, but
The budgetary figures, all of it. I'll make a motion.
A second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Wow.